Welcome back, fearless wanderers of the unknown, to my channel, where the wind whispers through steel beams, the water below hides secrets, and shadows linger long after the sun has set. Tonight, we journey across Texas to explore its most haunted bridges, where tragedy, betrayal, and restless spirits leave their marks. Some bridges have witnessed fatal accidents, mysterious disappearances, or unsolved murders. Others are said to be cursed, with shadows that wait beneath, watching the living pass by. From ghostly hitchhikers to spectral lights dancing in the fog, these bridges are not just structures of steel and concrete. Take a deep breath, grip the railing tightly, and join me as we uncover the 25 most haunted bridges in Texas, where shadows wait beneath the A. Because sometimes the shadows beneath are more alive than you could ever imagine. Old Alton Bridge in Denton County, Texas, may look like just another relic of the pasta, a rusted iron truss spanning the quiet waters of Hickory Creek. But its true legacy is far darker. Known locally as a Goatmana-esque bridge, it has become one of the most infamous haunted sites in the state. For decades, visitors have reported shadowy figures lurking near the bridge, and blood-curdling screams echoing from the river below, and the unmistakable sense of being watched by something not entirely human. Some claim the entity haunting this place is the Goatman himself, a creature half man, half goata, who emerges after sunset to terrify anyone daring enough to cross. The bridge, built in 1884, once served as a vital crossing for farmers and travelers heading between the towns of Denton and Copper Canyon. Over time, though, it became shrouded in superstition and dread. According to local legend, the origins of the haunting trace back to a tragic story of racial violence. In one version, an African-American goat farmer named Oscar Washburn, known for his honesty and success, lived near the bridge in the 1930s. He was affectionately called the Goatmana by locals who bought milk, cheese, and hides from him. But his prosperity drew the ire of the Ku Klux Klan, who one night dragged him from his home and hanged him from the old Alton Bridge. When they returned later to dispose of the body, it had vanished. Furious, they slaughtered his goats and burned his home to the ground. Ever since, people have claimed the Goatmana-esque spirit roams the area, seeking vengeance for his wrongful death. Those who come to the bridge after dark often speak of a presence that feels angry and territorial. Some report hearing heavy footsteps on the bridge planks even when no one else is there. Others describe a distinct sound of hooves clattering against the metal beams, followed by guttural growls or the bleating of unseen goats. Many claim that if you cross the bridge at midnight and shout the Goatmana's name 3 times, he will appear as glowing red eyes emerging from the darkness, his shadowy form towering among the trees. There are stories of visitors being chased, scratched, or even shoved by unseen hands. Car trouble is another frequent occurrence near the bridge. Engines stall inexplicably, headlights flicker, and electronics malfunction as if drained by some unseen force. Drivers who try to restart their cars often notice shapes moving in the tree line or shadows crossing the road just beyond the reach of their lights. Those brave enough to step out sometimes hear rustling leaves and low growls surrounding them, though no animals can be found. Those brave enough to step out sometimes hear rustling leaves and low growls surrounding them, though no animals can be found. Paranormal investigators have brought cameras and recording equipment to document the activity, capturing strange light anomalies, distorted voices, and unexplainable temperature drops that seem to pulse through the structure like a heartbeat. The area beneath the bridge is equally unsettling. The river that once brought life to nearby farms now serves as a mirror for ghostly lights that appear to dance across the surface. Some witnesses describe floating orbs drifting beneath the beamsa, sometimes blue, sometimes orangea, that vanish the moment they are approached. Others have seen a dark shape rise slowly from the water, only to dissolve before reaching the surface. The screams heard here are perhaps the most chilling of all, cries that echo through the night, impossible to trace or explain. They come from no known animal, and they carry a pain and fury that feels almost human. The Goatman legend, however, is not confined to a single story. Some believe the creature predates Oscar Washburne's tragic tale, claiming it is a demonic spirit or cryptid that has haunted this region for centuries. Early settlers in Texas spoke of a creature that lived in the woods of part man, part Beasta, who lured travelers away from the path. It was said to feed on fear, growing stronger with every frightened heart it claimed. This version of the Goat Man is not a ghost of injustice, but something older and far more dangerous. It is said that the bridge acts as a portal, a place where the veil between worlds is thin, allowing the creature to cross over when called or provoked. The surrounding woods of Old Alton are no less haunted. Many who have wandered off the trail have reported seeing figures darting between the trees of tall silhouettes with horns and glowing eyes. Some describe hearing whispers urging them to turn back, while others feel a hand brush their shoulder when no one is there. Animals refuse to go near certain parts of the forest, and even seasoned hikers admit to feeling lost or disoriented, as if the landscape itself shifts to trap them. Despidia, or perhaps because of its terrifying reputation, the bridge has become a magnet for thrill seekers, ghost hunters, and paranormal enthusiasts. By day, Ida is a picturesque landmark surrounded by nature, but by night, the air thickens with unease. The silence feels heavy, broken only by the creak of the old iron or the splash of something unseen in the creek below. Many visitors leave convinced that the stories are real, unable to shake the feeling that they were being followed long after leaving the bridge behind. Today, Old Alton Bridge stands as both a monument to tragedy and a magnet for the unknown. Whether the Goat Man is a vengeful spirit of a wronged man or a supernatural creature from older folklore, his presence endures. Those who dare to cross after dark are warned to proceed with caution, because once the air turns cold and the whispers begin, there may be no telling where the line between the living and the dead truly lies. And as countless locals will say, whatever you do, never cross the bridge alone at night. Goat Man Bridge, better known as Old Alton Bridge, stretches quietly over Hickory Creek in Denton County, Texas. By daylight, it looks almost peaceful, a rusted iron relic from the 1800s, surrounded by dense woods and calm waters. But when the sun dips below the horizon, that calmness turns into something else entirely. The air thickens, the woods grow silent, and the bridge becomes a place where the living and the dead seem to meet. For locals and visitors alike, this place is synonymous with one of Texas' most enduring legends, the Goat Man. Stories of the Goat Man Bridge have circulated for decades, whispered around campfires and repeated in hushed tones by those who dared to visit after dark. The legend varies depending on who tells it, but most versions share one chilling truth: something supernatural prowls the area, and it does not take kindly to trespassers. According to one of the most popular tales, the Goat Man was once a hard-working bridge engineer or a local goat farmer, depending on which account you hear. Some say his name was Oscar Washburne, a man known for his kindness and dedication to his trade. He raised goats and sold milk, cheese, and wool to nearby towns, earning him the affectionate nickname the Goat Man, but his success and integrity made him a target. One night, a group of envious or hateful Mina, sometimes described as rival farmers, sometimes as members of a violent MOBA, dragged him from his home and hanged him from the bridge. When they came back later to cut his body down, it had vanished. What they found instead were the terrified bleats of goats echoing through the fog, and a trail of hoof prints leading back across the bridge, fading into the night. From that night on, strange things began to happen. Travelers crossing Old Alton Bridge after dark spoke of a large, horned figure appearing out of nowhere, its eyes glowing red in the darkness. Those who saw it up close said it had the head of a goat and the body of a man, tall and twisted, its outline flickering, as if half in this world and half in another. People heard heavy footsteps behind them, though no one was there, and some swore they could hear low growls mixed with the faint clatter of hooves on metal. From that night on, strange things began to happen. Others claimed the air turned unnaturally cold as they reached the center of the bridge, their breath visible even on warm nights. Over time, the Goatman Bridge became a magnet for the curious and the bravia or the foolish. Teenagers dared each other to cross it at midnight, shouting the Goatmana's name to summon him. Paranormal investigators brought cameras and recorders, hoping to capture proof of the Entitya's existence. Some of them did capture something: orbs floating through the darkness, strange distortions in photographs, and guttural voices whispering through static. One team even claimed to see glowing eyes peering out from the tree line, watching silently as they packed their equipment and fled. But the hauntings extend beyond just the figure of the Goat Man. Many visitors report hearing ghostly sounds that defy explanation. Disembodied voices call their names, echoing across the water. Rocks are thrown from unseen hands. Car engines stall inexplicably when approaching the bridge, and headlights flicker as if drained by an unseen energy. On misty nights, shadowy shapes have been spotted walking along the banks, vanishing the moment someone shines a flashlight their way. Some believe these manifestations are Renati, just the Goat Man himself, but the lingering spirits of others who met their end here victims of violence, accidents, or even those who came seeking the supernatural and never returned. Locals tell stories of people who disappeared near the bridge, leaving only abandoned vehicles and unanswered questions. Even experienced hikers admit to feeling disoriented in the woods around the site, as if the landscape shifts subtly, leading them in circles. Another version of the legend paints a darker origin. It tells of a bridge engineer who, while working on Old Alton Bridge, was betrayed by jealous co-workers who sabotaged his work. In this retelling, the engineer cursed the bridge with his dying breath, vowing that his spirit would forever guard it from those with ill intent. After his death, sightings of a horned, shadowy figure began to spread. Some think this version merged with older folklore, creating the Goat Man myth we know today. There are also whispers of the supernatural energy beneath the bridge itself. Some paranormal experts believe the structure sits on a spiritual crossroads, a thin place between worlds where energy lingers and amplifies. Ida said that the Goat Man uses this energy to manifest, feeding on fear and curiosity. That might explain why those who mock or challenge him tend to have the most disturbing encounters. More than a few people have reported being scratched, shoved, or even choked by unseen hands after taunting the entity. Others claim to wake in the night after visiting, only to hear hoofbeats outside their windows. Despite the warnings, the legend continues to draw people from all over. They come to see if the stories are true, or simply to stand in the presence of something ancient and unexplainable. But the locals know better. They say that when a night grows too quiet and the mist creeps low over Hickory Creek, the Goat Man is near. If you feel a chill crawl down your spine, if you hear the sound of hooves behind you, it's already too late. The old iron bridge still stands, rusted but strong, its beams echoing with the weight of 100 stories. Whether the Goat Man is a vengeful ghost of a murdered man or a creature born from something darker, his legend enduresa, guarding the bridge, haunting the woods, and ensuring that no one crosses without feeling his presence. Those glowing eyes in the trees are more than just imagination. They are a real warning. Some bridges are not meant to be crossed. Rainbow Bridge rises high above the Neches River in Port Arthur, Texas, a vast steel arch that gleams during the day and disappears into mist by night. Locals know it as both a marvel of engineering and a place of quiet dread. The Bridgia's towering height and sweeping curves attract photographers, travelers, and those seeking a scenic view of the river below. But when the fog rolls in thick from the Gulf, the atmosphere changes. The hum of engines fades, the air turns cold, and shadows seem to move where there should be none. Ida asks then that the bridge reveals its darker side, a place where the living and the dead might share the same road. Drivers who cross late at night often describe a chilling sense of being watched. The fog seems to come alive, swirling with unnatural motion. Some report faint outlines of figures standing near the railings, silhouettes that vanish as the headlights draw near. Others tell of shapes walking along the shoulder, their forms half-formed, translucent, like people caught between one world and the next. The most unsettling stories come from those who stop to help what appears to be a stranded hitchhiker, only to discover that their passenger disappears before reaching the other side. Truckers Woe made the crossing hundreds of times describe one particular phantom, a man in a long coat, his face hidden beneath the brim of a hat. He is often seen standing just beyond the halfway point, where the bridge arches highest above the river. Drivers say he raises one hand as if signaling for a ride. Those brave enough to stop claim he climbs into the cab without a word, sits silently for a few minutes, and then fades away, leaving behind only the faint smell of damp river water. Pedestrians who have ventured across the walkway at night report something stranger still. They hear footsteps echoing beside them even when no one is there. The rhythm of the steps matches their own for a moment, then speeds up or slows down, as if an unseen companion were pacing them. Some have glimpsed long shadows cast against the railings, shifting in the fog, stretching across the pavement like arms reaching for the living. One man swore he saw a figure lean over the side of the bridge, looking down at the water, but when he approached, there was nothing there, only the sound of lapping waves far below. The Bridgia-esque haunted reputation stems from decades of tragedy. Built in the late 1930s, the Rainbow Bridge was once the tallest bridge in Texas, towering nearly 180 feet above the river. It was an impressive feat, but its height made it dangerous. Over the years, countless accidents have occurred, cars losing control in the rain, trucks jackknifing on icy pavement, and more tragically, people who chose the bridge as a final stop in their lives. Each story left a mark, and locals say the spirits of those lost never truly left. One of the most repeated legends tells of a young couple returning from a dance in the 1950s. Their car skidded on the slick surface, broke through the railing, and plunged into the dark water below. Witnesses said they saw the headlights disappear into the river, but rescue efforts failed to recover the bodies for several days. Ever since, drivers claim that on foggy nights, they see two beams of light glowing faintly beneath the Bridges arch, moving as if a submerged car were still driving through the depths. Some say the Couplia-esque spirits appear to warn others, flashing ghostly headlights whenever conditions become too dangerous. Another tale involves a construction worker who died during the Bridgia-esque early years. He fell from the upper girders into the water below, his body never found. To this day, fishermen beneath the bridge sometimes hear splashes echoing across the river on calm nights. When they look up, they swear they see a shadow falling again and again, as if replaying the moment of his death. The sound comes even when the river is perfectly still, and some say Ida as the spirita-esque way of reminding everyone of the dangers of pride and haste. A few paranormal investigators have visited the Rainbow Bridge with recording equipment. They report capturing strange whispers carried by the wind, sometimes in the form of names or pleas for help. Others have caught unexplained cold spots or flickering lights moving against the current. One group described the sensation of their car rocking gently even though they were parked, as if unseen hands were trying to push them away from the edge. Locals believe the ghosts that haunt the bridge are not malevolent, but rather protective. As she struggled to restart the engine, she saw a shape emerge in the fog ahead, a human figure waving both arms, signaling her to stop. Moments later, a truck barreled through the mist at full speed, swerving into the opposite lane where she would have been. When she looked back toward the figure to thank them, it was gone. The Rainbow Bridge stands today as both a monument of human achievement and a memorial for lives lost along its span. During the day, Ida is a striking sight, arching gracefully over the Neches River, linking Port Arthur and Bridge City in a ribbon of steel. But at night, when the fog rolls in and the air grows heavy, the hum of engines turns distant, and the silence feels alive. Those who know the bridge best say it remembers every life that crossed it, every soul that never made it to the other side. Whether warning the living or reliving their final moments, the spirits of Rainbow Bridge continue to drift through the fog, bound to the steel and water that claimed them. To some, Ida is just a ghost story whispered by locals. But to those who have seen the glowing eyes in the mist, or felt the chill of a phantom passage beside them, the truth is clear. The dead still cross the Rainbow Bridge, one haunting at a time. Wolf Creek Bridge in Denton County sits quietly over the murky water, its rusting beams and weathered planks echoing with decades of stories. By day, it seems ordinary, an old rural crossing tucked between pastures and wooded banks, used mostly by locals and the occasional traveler. But as the sun dips below the horizon, something changes. The air grows heavier, colder, and the stillness of surrounding fields turns unsettling. Those Wovi lingered too long after dark say the bridge has a way of waking up when the world falls quiet. The Bridgia-esque reputation for haunting activity has lasted for generations. Locals claim Ida-esque curse, that something dark clings to its frame and the waters below. Some say it began after a car crash in the late 1950s, when a familiar-esque vehicle veered off a narrow structure and plunged into the creek during a storm. Others whisper that the hauntings stretch back even further to when the bridge was first built, when workers lost their lives in accidents no one ever fully explained. Over time, Wolf Creek became known not for its quiet beauty, but for the strange sounds that echo across it when no one is there to make them. Travelers describe hearing faint screams carried on the wind, as if someone were calling for help from beneath the bridge. The sound comes suddenly, sharp and desperate, then fades as quickly as it began. Sometimes Ida is joined by the creaking of footsteps that seem to cross the planks, even when the bridge is empty. A few people have said they have seen pale figures standing near the center, hazy, colorless shapes that seem human until the headlights pass through them. When they look back, nothing remains but the whisper of water moving beneath the boards. One of the most common experiences at Wolf Creek Bridge is a sudden drop in temperature. Visitors describe feeling a bone-deep chill that cuts through even the warmest Texas night. Some say their breath becomes visible, forming misty clouds that swirl unnaturally, as if drawn toward the railing. Paranormal enthusiasts will measure the air to report erratic cold spots, pockets of freezing air that appear and vanish within seconds. The phenomenon seems strongest around the middle of the bridge, where most of the reported accidents occurred. Several accounts tell of car engines stalling on the bridge without reason. Drivers feel a shudder run through their vehicles, followed by silence as their headlights dim. The atmosphere becomes thick and oppressive, and in that moment of forced stillness, they hear a faint tapping on the windows, like knuckles brushing against the glass. Some have seen handprints appear on fog windshields from the inside, fading when the engine roars back to life. Others swear that when they looked into the rearview mirror, a shadow sat in the back seat, watching quietly until the bridge was behind them. Local legends say the restless spirits belong to those who died in tragic accidents at the site. There are stories of a teenage boy who lost control of his motorcycle in the 1970s, his bike skidding across the wet boards before crashing into the creek. People claim his ghost still walks the bridge, searching for the bike that vanished beneath the current. Others mention a woman who drove into the water one foggy night, never realizing the bridge had iced over. Her car was found downstream days later, but her body was not. On cold nights, passers-by report seeing a woman in a soaked white dress standing at the railing, staring into the dark water as though waiting for something or someone to return. Fishermen who set up near the banks say the area feels wrong after sunset. The water seems to move against the current, rippling as though something beneath is rising to the surface. Some hear splashes when nothing breaks the water. Others describe voices beneath the bridge, and not screams, but murmurs, soft and rhythmic, almost like chanting. One man said he felt something brush against his ankle from below the dock, though the water was shallow and still. He never returned. A few paranormal investigators have visited Wolf Creek Bridge with cameras and recorders, hoping to capture proof of the supernatural. Their footage often contains strange distortions, flickering lights that resemble figures crossing the walkway, or brief bursts of static that sound eerily like human voices. In one recording, a woman-ass whisper can be heard saying, "A donut T-cross, moments before the equipment shuts off entirely. Those who analyze the tapes claim the words Arena T interference, Thea real warning. Despite the stories, curiosity continues to draw people to the bridge. Teenagers on dares, thrill seekers chasing ghost sightings, and locals testing their courage under a full moon all come to see if the legends are true. Most leave shaken, unwilling to talk about what they experienced. They hear rushing water and faint cries even when miles away. They lock their doors and warn outsiders to do the same. They want to be remembered. Others believe they're warning of an impending doom. Others think the dead are trapped in endless replay of their final moments, unable to leave the place where their lives ended so suddenly. Today, Wolf Creek Bridge still stands, weathered but strong, stretching over dark waters that hide too many secrets. The county has discussed replacing it, but locals quietly resist, fearing the disturbance might stir whatever rests below. So it remains an old structure with rusted bolts and creaking beams, where fog drifts like smoke and the air grows unnaturally cold. And those who drive across at night, with headlights cutting through the mist, say they can feel eyes watching from the water's edge. The spirits of Wolf Creek Bridge have not moved on. They linger in the dark, waiting for the next traveler brave A or foolish A enough to cross their path. Hemphill Bridge in Hemphill County stretches quietly over a narrow river, surrounded by rolling fields and thick patches of oak and cedar. By day, it seems like nothing more than a lonely stretch of rural road, a place where the sound of tires on old boards echoes across still water. But after sunset, the air over that bridge turns cold, heavy, and charged with something unseen. Locals say Ida is cursed, and the stories they tell trace back through decades of strange accidents, disappearances, and unexplainable dread that clings to the place like fog. The bridge has stood for nearly a century, first built in the 1930s, as a vital link between small farming towns. According to old newspaper clippings, a car carrying a family of her lost control while crossing the bridge during heavy rain. The wooden planks were slick, the current below swollen and wild. Witnesses from a nearby farmhouse saw headlights swerve violently before vanishing over the edge. When rescuers arrived, only fragments of the car were found tangled in branches downstream. The bodies were recovered days later, except for one, the youngest child, a girl whose body was never found. From that night on, the bridge took on a life of its own. Drivers began reporting sudden engine failures midway across. Vehicles that had been running perfectly would sputter, the lights flicker, and the radio hiss with static. In the silence that followed, a new sound emerged, a faint whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Those Wo-V experienced had described the voices as pleading, sorrowful, sometimes calling names that no one recognizes. Some claim Thea-V heard a Childa as laughter echoing faintly beneath the sound of rushing water. Breath turns visible, and goosebumps rise on their skin. Most disturbing are the figures that appear at the far ends of the bridge, human silhouettes standing perfectly still. They vanish when approached, leaving only the faint scent of wet earth and something metallic, like rust or blood. Over the years, more lives have been claimed by the bridge. In the 1970s, a young couple returning home after a local dance lost control of their truck at almost the same spot as the family decades earlier. Locals say the man survived, but the woman was thrown into the river and never found. For months afterward, drivers reported seeing a figure in a pale dress standing near the guardrail, her hair dripping, her face hidden. One witness claimed the apparition stepped onto the bridge, her reflection visible in the headlights on the wet boards, before dissolving into mist. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to Hemphill Bridge, lured by the consistent reports of activity. Those Wo-V set up cameras and recorders often lead with strange results, cold spots that appear only on thermal footage, disembodied voices whispering through static, and shadowy figures that dart across frames. One investigator described feeling a tug on his sleeve moments before his equipment shut off completely. When he turned to look, no one was there, but a small handprint appeared on the dust of his car door. It was too small to belong to an adult. Locals say the hauntings intensified after the bridge was partially rebuilt in the 1990s. Construction crews complained of tools disappearing or being moved overnight. One worker fell into the water after claiming he felt someone push him from behind though no one else was nearby. He survived but quit the project the next day, insisting he would never return. He told others that before he fell, he heard a voice whisper, stay with us to A. Some residents believe the Bridgia as cursus nati just about the original accident, but something older a darker piece of the land as history. Before the bridge existed, early settlers reportedly used that same crossing to ford the river. Old letters and accounts mention strange drownings and a unnatural lightsa above the water long before the first planks were laid. Others tie the hauntings to the native burial grounds, said to lie somewhere beneath the creek bed, disturbed during the Bridgia's early construction. Whether folklore or truth, every generation seems to add its own tragedy to the legend. Travelers passing through Hemphill County often hear warnings from the locals. Never stop on the bridge. Never look directly into the water. And if your car stalls, don't get out. Many Wovi ignored that advice, describe an overwhelming sense of dread, as if someone unseen is standing just inches away. A few claim to have seen faces in the reflection of the water, pale and distorted, moving even when the surface is still. One story stands out among the rest. A Sheriff's deputy once responded to a report of a stranded vehicle on Hemphill Bridge. When he arrived, the car was empty, headlights still on, doors open. The engine was running, but there was no sign of the driver. The Manna's wallet and phone were found inside, along with deep scratches on the wooden planks beside the car. The search lasted days but turned up nothing. Locals say that on foggy nights, the same car appears on the bridge again, headlights glowing faintly through the mist, only to vanish when anyone approaches. To this day, few dare to cross Hemphill Bridge after dark. The county keeps it open, but most drivers take the long way around. Those who do cross late at night speak of an eerie feeling that something unseen follows them to the far side, watching, waiting. Some say the bridge hums with sorrow, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is worn thin. And when the wind picks up and the water beneath begins to whisper, travelers quicken their pace, afraid to look back. For at Hemphill Bridge, not everyone who crosses makes it safely to the other side of the bridge stands as a testament to the darkness that lurks beneath the bridge, stands as a testament to the darkest nightmares of Texas. Forgotten Nightmares, Part 60. Sister Grove Bridge in Ellis County stretches quietly over the dark, slow-moving waters of Sister Grove Creek. By day, Ida as an unassuming rural bridge, framed by tall trees and open fields. Birds perch on the railings, and the occasional car hums across its planks without incident. But as the sun sets and the shadows deepen, the bridge takes on a different character. The air grows heavy, and the wind carries a strange stillness, as if the bridge itself is holding its breath. Locals know it as a place of restless spirits, a crossing where the living and the dead seem to share the same space. The history of Sister Grove Bridge is marked by tragedy. Built in the early 20th century, it served as a vital route for farmers and travelers, connecting small communities scattered across the county. Over the decades, accidents began to accumulate. Cars slid off its narrow lanes in rain or ice, trucks lost control while navigating sharp approach, and pedestrians occasionally fell into the creek below. Some of these incidents were fatal, leaving a trail of sorrow that, locals say, never fully lifted from the bridge. The tragedies gave rise to tales of lingering spirits, trapped eternally where their lives ended. Visitors who venture across Sister Grove Bridge after dark often describe a profound sense of unease. Many report hearing footsteps behind them, soft and measured, echoing across the wooden planks even when the bridge is entirely empty. Some feel the sensation of being followed, as though unseen eyes track every movement. A few say that when they turn, nothing is there, only the fog curling over the railings and the black water below. Others describe hearing whispers carried on the wind, unintelligible yet unmistakably human, seeming to come from the middle of the bridge itself. Shadowy figures are another frequent occurrence. People crossing at night sometimes see dark silhouettes perched along the guardrails, or standing motionless at the far end of the bridge. The figures often vanish when approached, leaving only the memory of their outline. Some witnesses claim the shadows appear to lean slightly, as if peering down into the creek, or occasionally turning to follow persona-esque progress across the span. The most unnerving stories come from those who see multiple figures at once, moving silently along the edges, their presence heavy with grief or warning. Lights under the bridge are reported just as often as the figures. Sometimes a glow seems to rise from the water, shimmering like lanterns carried by unseen hands. Other times, the lights pulse against the wooden supports or dance along the underside of the bridge in a rhythm that mimics footsteps. A few locals claim the lights are not a trick of the eye or reflection, but a signal from the dead aid the spirits of travelers who perished there, trying to warn others or replaying the moments of their final crossing. One particularly persistent legend involves a young couple traveling through Ellis County in the 1960s. Their car reportedly lost control on a rainy night and went over the edge of the bridge, sinking into the creek below. Witnesses said the search teams recovered only the man, while the woman-ass body was never found. Since that night, drivers passing the bridge after dark report seeing a woman in a soaked dress standing near the railing, staring silently into the water. Some claim she appears in the headlights as a fleeting shadow, only to vanish when the car nears the middle of the bridge. Others describe hearing the sound of her soft cries, or even faint laughter carried over the creek. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to Sister Grove Bridge. Those who attempt to document the activity often report strange phenomena. Sudden cold spots on the walkway, unexplainable flickers in camera footage, or static-filled audio. Where whispers can be heard saying names or warning messages. One team described feeling a sudden tug on their jackets while standing on the bridge, as though invisible hands tried to pull them toward the railings. When they turned, there was no one, but faint footprints appeared on the wooden planks, too small to be made by any adult, and quickly fading as if erased by unseen fingers. Locals have their own warnings. They advise drivers not to stop or linger, especially after dark, and to avoid walking across the bridge alone. Some insist that the spirits are not merely residual energy, but are aware of the living, sometimes interacting in subtle ways to relay danger or grief. Many believe the bridge acts as a kind of threshold where the souls of those who died in accidents remain suspended between worlds, unable to cross over fully. Despite the stories, the bridge continues to attract the curious. Teenagers daring each other to cross at night, paranormal enthusiasts hoping to capture evidence, and travelers unfamiliar with the warnings all venture onto the span. Most leave shaken, unable to explain the cold air, the footsteps, or the shadows they witnessed. A few return home claiming that the bridge lingers in their dreams, its dark outline etched against fog, the sound of water below, and the feeling of unseen eyes following them long after they have left. Sister Grove Bridge remains, quietly spanning the creek, its wooden planks worn by decades of traffic and tragedy. By day, it appears ordinary, but as night falls, it becomes a threshold to something unseen. Footsteps echo where no one walks, shadows linger along the rails, and strange lights flicker beneath the structure. To those who believe, the bridge is more than a passage over water. It is a place where the restless dead continue their journey, eternally bound to crossing that claimed them, waiting silently for the living to notice. The swinging bridge in Waco, Texas, arches gracefully across the Brazos River, its wooden planks suspended by sturdy cables that creak softly in the wind. During the day, it appears peaceful, a relic of a bygone era, drawing family photographers and tourists who stroll across to take in the Rivera-esque beauty. But as the sun dips and shadows lengthen, the atmosphere around the bridge changes. Locals whisper that it is haunted, a crossing where unseen presences linger, and those who venture after dark are never entirely alone. The bridge has a long and tragic history. Built in the early 1900s, it was a favorite spot for locals to gather, fish, and watch the river flow beneath. However, the area around the bridge has been the site of numerous accidents and untimely deaths, many involving children. Some accounts speak of young lives lost to drownings in the river or tragic mishaps while playing on or near the bridge itself. Over time, these events formed the basis of a chilling legend that the spirits of those children remain, forever caught between life and death, reaching out for companionship that they can no longer experience in the world of the living. Visitors to the swinging bridge have often described hearing strange sounds that have no clear source. Footsteps click across the planks behind them, even when the bridge appears completely empty. Laughter, a light, fleeting, and unmistakably childlike, it drifts across the boards, followed by whispers that seem to beckon anyone passing by. Some claim that if they pause, the voices grow louder, sometimes mimicking their own words or softly repeating their names. A few have even reported seeing fleeting movements at the edges of their vision, shadowy figures darting between the wooden posts and along the ropes that hold the bridge aloft. One of the most commonly reported experiences involves the sensation of being touched. Visitors have felt light. Icy hands brush their shoulders or tug gently at their clothing, as if urging them to turn or to notice the spirits surrounding them. Many describe a sudden chill that cuts through even warm Texas evenings, sometimes accompanied by the faint smell of river water mixed with musty, almost sweet scent that cannot be explained. For some, the touch is fleeting and harmless, but others claim it feels insistent, like the spirits are attempting to communicate, to make their presence known in the only way they can. For some, the touch is fleeting and harmless, but others claim it feels insistent, like the spirits are attempting to communicate, to make their presence known in the only way they can. The wooden planks themselves seem to hold the energy of the past. Several witnesses have described seeing figures moving across the bridge, their forms semi-transparent and often small in stature. These ghostly shapes dart between the ropes and beams, disappearing when approached, only to reappear in another section of the bridge moments later. Children are most commonly reported, their movements playful, their energy restless, yet tinged with sadness. It is as if they're trying to recreate the joy they once had in life, forever playing a game that no one else can truly join. Some local historians and paranormal investigators have sought to document the hauntings of the swinging bridge. Recordings often capture unexplained sounds, whispers, giggles, an occasional faint thud, or knock against the planks that cannot be traced to wind or wildlife. Thermal cameras have detected cold spots along the bridge where no draft should exist, concentrated in areas associated with the spirit's activity. One investigator reported that during a late-night exploration, a sudden weight pressed down on the end of the bridge, as if someone were standing there, yet no one was visible. Moments later, laughter echoed across the boards, fading into the night air. Stories from the community reinforced the haunting. A family visiting the bridge on a summer evening described their youngest child subtly pointing to an empty section of the bridge, insisting someone was playing tag with him. Moments later, the child ran screaming with excitement and terror, claiming the ghost children had brushed past him and raced toward the other end. In another account, a couple crossing the bridge at dusk felt an inexplicable coldness sweep over them, followed by laughter circling around their heads. Yet when they looked, the bridge was deserted. The river beneath the swinging bridge has also played a role in the legend. It is said that children who fell or drowned in the water remained tethered to the bridge, unable to leave the spot where their lives ended. This gives the hauntings an almost protective quality, a playful, yet haunting. Some visitors claim that the energy can feel oppressive if approached with fear or skepticism. Despite the eerie stories, the swinging bridge remains a popular sight. Tourists, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts flock to experience the bridge for themselves. Most who cross after dark describe a mix of fascination and fear, noting the creaking boards underfoot, the faint laughter in the distance, and the sudden chills that seem to follow them. Many leave with the impression that the bridge is alive in a way beyond the ordinary, a conduit between worlds where the dead play, observe, and occasionally interact with the living. The swinging bridge stands today as both a historical landmark and a place of mystery. Its aged wood and swaying cables conceal stories of joy, tragedy, and lingering spirits. Those who venture there after dark may hear laughter carried on the wind, feel the touch of cold hands, or glimpse fleeting shadows darting across the planks. For those who know its legend, the bridge is more than a simple crossing. It is a reminder that some spirits never truly leave, forever waiting to play, to be seen, and to share their unseen world with anyone brave enough to cross. Buchanan Dam Bridge stretches across Lake Buchanan in Burnett County, Texas, its long span rising above calm, deceptively serene waters. By day, the bridge appears as a simple crossing, offering sweeping views of the lake and the surrounding hill country. Boats drift lazily below, sunlight glints off the water, and the occasional fisherman casts a line from the shoreline. But as evening falls and fog settles over the lake, the bridge takes on a different character. The air grows heavy and still, and locals whisper that those who venture across after dark may not be alone. The bridge has long been associated with tragedy. Over the decades, numerous accidents have occurred in the area. People have fallen or driven into the lake. Others have drowned while swimming, and some have vanished entirely, leaving behind only small ripples on the water as the only sign of their passing. Locals say these deaths have left a lingering presence, a spirits trapped between the living world and the waters that claimed them. Visitors crossing the bridge at night often report eerie phenomena, from shadowy figures to unexplained lights on the water, suggesting that the bridge itself is a threshold between the living and the dead. From shadowy figures to unexplained lights on the water, suggesting that the bridge itself is a threshold between the living and the dead. Suggesting that the bridge itself is a threshold between the living and the dead. One of the most frequently reported occurrences is the appearance of shadowy figures. Drivers and pedestrians alike describe dark, human-shaped forms that seem to stand near the bridge's edges, staring silently at the waters below. That seem to stand near the bridge's edges, staring silently at the waters below. Staring silently at the waters below. Some witnesses claim the figures move along the guardrails or appear briefly in the headlights of passing cars, vanishing when approached. Or appear briefly in the headlights of passing cars, vanishing when approached. Vanishing when approached. In many cases, these apparitions are accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature, a cold that seeps into bones, sending a shiver through anyone nearby. The presence is often described as sorrowful, almost pleading, as if the spirits are bound by unfinished business or memories of their final moments. Mysterious lights on the lake are another common report. On foggy nights, visitors have seen faint glimmers rising from the water or drifting across the surface, flickering like lanterns in the mist. Some of these lights seem to move independently, darting across the lake as though guided by unseen hands. Fishermen and boaters have sometimes reported seeing phantom vessels, small rowboats or canoes that appear briefly before disappearing without a trace. Locals believe these are the spirits of those who drowned, eternally bound to the waters where their lives ended. The lights, while not inherently menacing, create a haunting spectacle that leaves many feeling uneasy, as if the lake itself remembers every lost soul. Sounds from the bridge are equally unsettling. People crossing at night have reported faint moaning carried on the wind, echoing across the dam and the surrounding hills. The cries vary, some are soft and mournful, while others are sharp and desperate, as if reaching out for help. Drivers recount instances of hearing these sounds over the hum of their engines, a chilling reminder that tragedy can linger long after the immediate danger has passed. Occasionally, the moans are accompanied by the sound of splashing water or a faint thump against the guardrails, amplifying the sense of presence on the bridge. Many of the more personal accounts involve a combination of these phenomena. One local resident reported driving across the bridge late at night when the headlights suddenly illuminated a shadowy figure standing in the middle of the lane. The figure vanished instantly, leaving the driver shaken. Moments later, a faint, ghostly light appeared on the lake below, followed by a low moan that seemed to echo from the water itself. On another occasion, a group of teenagers visiting the bridge claimed to hear footsteps following them as they walked, their shadows flickering along the railings, though no one else was present. Paranormal investigators who have visited Buchanan Dam Bridge have captured a variety of strange occurrences. Cameras sometimes record unexplained orbs of light hovering over the water or along the bridge. Audio equipment picks up whispers, faint laughter, and occasional cries that cannot be attributed to passing traffic or wildlife. Temperature readings often show sudden, localized drops in the middle of the bridge, suggesting the presence of an unseen entity. One investigator even claimed that as he filmed the bridge at night, his camera briefly caught the outline of a small boat moving across the lake, though the water was completely still and no one was aboard. The legend surrounding Buchanan Dam Bridge is deeply rooted in the tragedies that occurred nearby. Drownings, car accidents, and mishaps during recreational activities over the years are said to have left behind restless spirits, eternally tied to the waters and the bridge above. Locals tell newcomers to exercise caution, especially after sunset, warning that the bridge is a way of reminding visitors that the dead are never far away. Despite the stories, the bridge continues to draw visitors, thrill seekers, ghost hunters, and curious travelers all across its span to see if the legends are true. Those who do often leave with a sense that the bridge itself is alive in a spectral way, a silent witness to the tragedies of the past. Shadows on the railings, lights flickering on the lake, and moans drifting across the dam serve as a reminder that some spirits never leave, bound to the waters and the memories of lives lost too soon. Buchanan Dam Bridge stands today as both a functional crossing and a haunting monument. Its wooden and steel structure stretches above calm yet treacherous waters, a place where history and the supernatural collide. At night, the bridge hums with stories of those who perished, their presence felt in the shadows, the lights, and the sounds that ripple across the lake. Visitors who venture there after dark do so at their own risk, encountering a bridge where the past refuses to rest. And the spirits of the drowned continue to watch, eternally tethered to the place that claimed them. Twin bridges in Houston, Texas, consist of two aging parallel structures stretching over a wide swath of highway, their steel beams and worn pavement a testament to decades of heavy traffic. By day, they serve as functional connectors, bustling with commuters and freight trucks. But when the sun sets and the city of Esham fades into night, Twin Bridges takes on a far more sinister presence. Locals whisper that the bridge is haunted, that the spirits of those who perish here linger, and that anyone who crosses after dark may encounter more than just asphalt and steel. The bridge's history is marred by tragedy. Built in the mid-20th century, Twin Bridges became a vital route connecting neighborhoods and industrial areas, but their age and narrow lanes made them dangerous. Vehicles have collided, lost control, or slipped off the edges during storms. Some crashes were minor, but many ended in fatalities. Over time, these incidents formed the foundation of eerie tales. The dead, unable to move on, continuing to traverse the bridges in spectral form, replaying their final moments and, at times, try to communicate warnings to the living. Visitors crossing Twin Bridges at night often report unsettling phenomena. One of the most common experiences is seeing ghostly figures walking along the edges of the bridges. These apparitions appear as translucent shapes, some dressed in clothes from decades past, moving slowly or pacing as if waiting for someone. Many witnesses say that these figures vanish when approached, only to reappear further down the span. Drivers passing by sometimes catch glimpses of them in their peripheral vision, causing a sudden chill or an uneasy feeling that compels them to grip the steering wheel tighter. Another frequent report involves phantom sounds. Several people describe hearing the screech of tires or the crunch of metal, as though a crash is happening somewhere on the bridge, though no accident is visible. Others have heard engines revving or brakes slamming, followed by silence. Occasionally, these sounds are accompanied by faint voices, cries for help, whispered warnings, or the echo of a scream carried on the wind. Pedestrians have described stopping in fear, convinced that a vehicle is approaching, only to find the roadway empty. The effect is disorienting and chilling, as if the bridge itself remembers every accident that has ever occurred. Sudden cold gusts of wind are another hallmark of Twin Bridges hauntings. Even on warm, calm nights, visitors describe feeling icy blasts that seem to cut through clothing and settle into their bones. Some report that the gusts occur when they are directly in the center of the bridge, or when a spectral figure appears nearby. Paranormal investigators who have studied the site have captured temperature drops of several degrees within seconds, localized in small areas of the bridge, reinforcing the idea that unseen presences are manipulating the environment. Many of the stories involve drivers who feel that the spirits are attempting to communicate or warn them. Some motorists claim to have seen a translucent figure step onto the roadway, only to vanish as they approach, leaving behind a sense of urgency and danger. Others report phantom lights appearing on the horizon or along the guardrails, causing a split-second hesitation that may prevent a real accident. While the warnings are subtle, those who pay attention describe a growing sense that the bridge itself is trying to protect the living, or at least to make them aware of the peril. That claimed so many before. A young couple traveling home at night reported hearing a car crash directly behind them, the screeching metal echoing in the quiet air. When they turned to look, the roadway was empty, and their rear-view mirror reflected only the faint outline of a figure standing near the guardrail. Another driver described feeling a tap on the back of their seat, as if a hand had pressed them forward, accompanied by a sudden gust of freezing air. Moments later, a car swerved across the lanes ahead, narrowly avoiding a real collision, leaving the driver shaken and convinced that something unseen had intervened. Paranormal investigators frequently visit Twin Bridges to document the strange occurrences. Audio recordings have captured unexplained voices and crashes, while video cameras occasionally show fleeting figures that cannot be attributed to traffic or shadows. Thermal imaging detects cold spots that move along the bridge, sometimes coinciding with visual sightings. One team described the sensation of being lightly pushed when alone on the walkway, as if invisible hands were guiding them along the path, reinforcing the idea that the spirits are present and aware. Despite the haunting stories, Twin Bridges remains heavily traveled. Drivers, pedestrians, and thrill-seekers continue to cross it, many dismissing the tales as folklore or coincidence. But those who have experienced the hauntings firsthand describe a bridge alive with memory and spirit, where the echoes of past accidents replay in sound, movement, and temperature. Shadows, whispers, phantom tire screeches, and icy gusts serve as reminders that the bridge holds a history written in lives lost, and that the dead may still roam its length. Twin Bridges stands today as both a functional part of Estona's infrastructure and a chilling testament to the past. By day, it blends into the cityscape, a bridge of steel and concrete. By night, however, it becomes a stage for the restless spirits of accident victims, walking its edges, warning the living, and replaying tragedies that refuse to fade. Those who cross after dark often sense the weight of history and the unseen presences that linger, a reminder that even in a modern city, the past is never truly gone. Devil's Backbone Bridge in Fort Bend County, Texas, rises over a winding stretch of river, its aged timbers and steel supports casting long shadows over the water below. By day, the bridge looks unremarkable, a simple crossing surrounded by dense trees and marshland. But by night, it transforms into a place that locals avoid, a crossing steeped in tales of dread and unexplained phenomena. The air around Devil's Backbone grows thick. The wind seems to carry whispers, and those who venture onto it after dark often sense they are not alone. The bridge earned its foreboding name from a history of sinister events. Folklore claims that long ago, the land near the river served as a site of vigilante justice and wrongful executions. Men accused of crimes were said to be hanged or shot along the banks, their deaths leaving an indelible mark on the area. Over time, The bridge itself became associated with these tragedies. Residents began reporting strange occurrences of voices in the night, fleeting shadows, and a palpable sense of unease that seemed to emanate from the structure itself. The tale suggests that the spirits of those wrongfully executed never left, their unrest tied to the river and the bridge that crosses it. Visitors to Devil's Backbone Bridge at night describe chilling experiences. One of the most common is hearing screams, a sudden, sharp, and seemingly human, echoing across the river and fading just as quickly. Drivers recount gripping their steering wheels tightly as the sound pierces the night, only to find the roadway empty. Pedestrians report that the screams can feel alarmingly close, as though coming from the water beneath their feet. The effect is disorienting, causing a sense of dread that clings to the skin and lingers long after leaving the bridge. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of the hauntings. Witnesses frequently describe dark, human-shaped silhouettes darting along the guardrails or leaping into the river below. Others have claimed to see multiple shapes moving in unison, as if performing a ritual along the bridge. These figures are often accompanied by sudden cold spots or gusts of icy wind that seem to originate from nowhere, chilling anyone nearby. Many believe these apparitions are the restless spirits of the wrongfully executed, bound forever to the banks and the bridge, replaying their final, unjust moments. The oppressive energy of the bridge is another commonly reported phenomenon. Those who cross often describe a heaviness in the air, an almost physical weight that presses down on the shoulders and chest. Animals react unusually, as will a dog howl or refuse to step on the bridge, and birds are rarely seen near it at night. Even vehicles sometimes seem affected. Engines stall briefly without explanation and headlights flicker. Locals warn that the energy is strongest during foggy nights, when visibility is low and the river below seems to blend with the mist, making it impossible to tell where the land ends and the water begins. There are countless stories from individuals who have experienced the bridge's haunting firsthand. One driver recounted a night when his car stalled in the center of the bridge. As he struggled to restart it, he felt a cold hand press on his shoulder, though no one was there. Moments later, a shadowy figure appeared at the far end, leaping into the river with a splash that sent ripples across the calm surface. Shaken, he managed to restart the engine and escape, but the sense of being watched stayed with him for days. Another account tells of a group of teenagers daring each other to cross the bridge late at night. As they walked, laughter, dry, hollow, and unnatural, echoed from the banks below. One of them saw a figure rise from the water, black and featureless, standing motionless on the guardrail. Before vanishing, the group fled, terrified, and swore never to return. These experiences reinforce the legend that Devil's Backbone Bridge is a crossing where the past refuses to rest, and where the innocent or wronged are forever trapped in a spectral loop. Paranormal investigators who have visited the site report similar findings. Equipment often registers sudden temperature drops along the bridge, localized cold spots that move in ways that defy natural explanation. Audio devices capture whispers and faint screams, while cameras occasionally pick up fleeting, shadow-like forms along the edges. Some investigators describe a feeling of pressure or resistance when walking on the planks, as if invisible hands push against them or guide them across. Even those skeptical of ghosts often leave unsettled, describing the atmosphere as oppressive and undeniably strange. Despite the warnings, Devil's Backbone Bridge continues to attract curiosity seekers. Adventurers, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers visit to test their courage, drawn by stories of shadowy figures, screams, and inexplicable energy. Most leave with stories of their own, sudden chills, ghostly visions, or the sensation of being watched. Some claim to have seen figures move in and out of the mist on the riverbanks, or felt touches from unseen hands. Many are convinced that the bridge serves as a reminder that injustice can linger long after death, tethering spirits to the places where they suffered most. Today, Devil's Backbone Bridge stands as a foreboding landmark in Fort Bend County, its steel and timber structures spanning the river like a silent sentinel. By day, it appears ordinary, a simple crossing framed by trees and water. By night, however, it becomes a place of fear and fascination. The screams, shadowy figures, and oppressive energy are constant reminders that the bridge carries more than vehicles and pedestrians. It carries the memories of the wrong, the restless, and the forgotten, forever bound to banks and waters below. Those who cross after dark do so at their own risk, encountering a bridge where the past and the supernatural intertwine in a chilling, unending presence. Houston Street Bridge in Dallas, Texas, arches over the Trinity River as a relic of the city's past, a historic structure whose steel framework and wooden planks have borne decades of traffic and tragedy. By day, it appears ordinary, a quiet thoroughfare framed by the skyline and the river below. But by night, the bridge transforms into something far more sinister. Locals and visitors alike whisper of ghostly activity, and those who cross it after dark often report experiences that defy explanation, as if the bridge itself is alive with memories of the past. The history of Houston Street Bridge is steeped in stories of misfortune and tragedy. Built in the early 20th century, it was a vital crossing for pedestrians, vehicles, and early streetcars. Accidents were frequent, especially during storms or at night, when the narrow lanes and wooden planks became treacherous. Some drivers lost control, pedestrians fell into the river, and, over the decades, countless lives were claimed near or on the bridge. Locals say that the souls of those lost have never truly left, and that the bridge retains a lingering energy that can manifest in subtle but unnerving ways. Visitors to Houston Street Bridge often speak first of ghostly footsteps. Crossing the bridge alone at night, some have reported hearing the sound of boots or heels striking the wooden planks behind them. Even when no one else is present, the steps seem to echo in perfect rhythm, matching the visitor's own pace for a time before accelerating or stopping entirely. Several pedestrians have described turning quickly, only to see empty planks and guardrails, leaving them shaken and questioning their senses. Another common phenomenon is the sudden appearance of thick fog. On otherwise clear nights, a dense, unnatural mist sometimes rolls in across the bridge, obscuring the roadway and wrapping the structure in a cold, damp embrace. Witnesses claim the fog moves in ways that seem deliberate, drifting around pedestrians or cars, thinning as people approach and thickening when they attempt to move forward. Some describe the fog as chilling to the bone, carrying a faint smell of river water mixed with something metallic, almost like rust or blood. Paranormal enthusiasts suggest the fog may be a residual energy from decades of tragic events on the bridge, manifesting as a physical presence that cannot be ignored. Shadowy figures are perhaps the most unsettling reports. People crossing the bridge often catch glimpses of dark silhouettes standing at the edges, moving along the guardrails, or appearing briefly in headlights before disappearing without a trace. Some figures resemble human forms, while others are less distinct, almost amorphous, as if they exist in a space between reality and memory. Witnesses describe a feeling of being watched, a weight pressing on the shoulders or chest, and the unmistakable sensation that the figures are aware of their presence. A weight pressing on the shoulders or chest, and the unmistakable sensation that the figures are aware of their presence. The unmistakable sensation that the figures are aware of their presence. One driver claimed a figure stepped out onto the roadway directly in front of their car, only to vanish when the vehicle swerved to avoid it. One driver claimed a figure stepped out onto the roadway directly in front of their car, only to vanish when the vehicle swerved to avoid it. Only to vanish when the vehicle swerved to avoid it. In addition to visual phenomena, many visitors report auditory disturbances. Car radios sometimes crackle with static as vehicles cross the bridge, followed by faint, disembodied voices. Car radios sometimes crackle with static as vehicles cross the bridge, followed by faint, disembodied voices. Followed by faint, disembodied voices. Some claim to hear names being called. Others describe whispers of fragmented phrases or urgent warnings. Pedestrians occasionally report hearing conversations in the mist, voices speaking as if directly beside them, only to find themselves entirely alone. Even seasoned investigators have captured these sounds on recording equipment, though playback often produces garbled words that hint at human speech without revealing full clarity. The combination of ghostly footsteps, shadowy apparitions, and unexplained fog contributes to a sense of oppressive tension. Many who have visited Houston's Street Bridge describe a feeling of being watched or followed, even when standing still. A few have reported sensations of cold hands brushing their shoulders or tugging lightly at their clothing, fleeting touches that leave goosebumps but no visible cause. Others have seen fleeting shapes reflected in rearview mirrors or peripheral vision, vanishing when they attempt to confront them directly. Stories from locals and longtime visitors reinforce the Bridge's haunted reputation. One resident described walking across the bridge late at night and hearing the sound of a woman crying beneath the fog. Moments later, a shadow appeared at the far edge of the walkway, lingering for several seconds before fading. Another tale involves a man driving alone when his car radio suddenly began playing a distorted conversation in a voice not his own. The words were fragmented, but he felt an urgent warning in them, causing him to slow and cross the bridge cautiously. When he looked behind him, the road was empty and the river below was perfectly still. Paranormal investigators frequently visit Houston's Street Bridge to document these phenomena. Audio recordings capture whispers, static, and fragmented voices. Thermal imaging often reveals cold spots along the planks and guardrails, moving in ways that defy natural explanation. Cameras occasionally pick up figures in the mist or fleeting shadows that vanish before anyone can approach. Investigators describe the bridge as a site saturated with energy, a place where residual emotions and tragedies from the past continue to manifest in physical, auditory, and visual ways. Despite the chilling stories, Houston Street Bridge continues to see traffic and visitors. Thrill seekers, ghost hunters, and curious locals cross its span, drawn by the legends of ghostly footsteps, sudden fogs, and shadowy figures. Most leave with a heightened sense of awareness, the feeling that the bridge itself remembers those who have perished upon it, and that the spirits of the past continue to watch. By day, it is unremarkable, a crossing for the city's residents and commuters. By night, however, it becomes a stage for the restless, a place where ghostly footsteps echo, shadows appear and vanish, fogs roll in unnaturally, and radios carry voices not of the living. Those who venture across after dark often feel the Bridge's weight, a reminder that some histories, some tragedies, and some spirits are never truly gone. Luling Bridge in Luling, Texas, stretches quietly across a winding creek, its simple rural structure framed by open fields and clusters of trees. By day, it appears as nothing more than a typical country crossing, worn by decades of traffic, yet sturdy enough to carry locals from one side to the other. But after the sun sets, the bridge takes on a more ominous presence. Locals whisper of strange happenings, of spirits that linger where accidents claimed lives, and of the unsettling feeling that anyone who crosses after dark may not be alone. The bridge has long been associated with tragedy. Built decades ago, it became a vital route for travelers passing through Luling, connecting small rural communities and farmlands. Over the years, accidents occurred frequently along its narrow lanes. Vehicles lost control on slick or uneven pavement, collisions claimed lives, and pedestrians fell from the edges. Locals believe the bridge became a kind of resting place for those who died on or near it, their spirits unable to move on. Stories of ghostly figures, disembodied voices, and other strange occurrences have circulated for generations, making the bridge a source of both curiosity and fear. One of the most common reports involves ghostly hitchhikers. Drivers recount seeing a figure standing along the edge of the bridge, often appearing wet or pale, with an expressionless face. When pulled over to offer a ride, the figure vanishes before anyone can reach them. Some say the hitchhiker appears only to certain drivers, seemingly drawn to those traveling alone at night. Witnesses describe a sense of urgency in the apparition's stance, as if silently pleading to be helped, only to disappear in the blink of an eye. Shadowy figures are another frequent occurrence. People crossing the bridge on foot often catch glimpses of dark silhouettes moving along the edges or between the beams. The figures seem to appear and vanish at will, sometimes darting across the walkway or lingering near the guardrails. Those who have seen them often report a sudden, oppressive feeling, as though the shadows are aware of their presence, watching them carefully. Many pedestrians describe a creeping dread, accompanied by a chill in the air, and the sensation that the bridge itself is alive with unseen eyes. Whispers calling out names are also reported along the bridge. Travelers and locals alike say they have heard their own names carried on the wind, faint but unmistakable. The voices seem to come from all directions at once, echoing off the wooden planks and steel supports. Some describe the whispers as urgent, as if trying to convey a warning or a message from the past. Others experience fragmented words or phrases, soft and elusive, leaving an eerie impression that lingers long after they have left the bridge. A particularly unsettling phenomenon reported by visitors is sudden dizziness or feeling of disorientation. People walking across the bridge at night have claimed to feel lightheaded, their steps faltering as if the air itself is interfering with their balance. Some interpret this as a warning, a subtle signal from the spirits that the bridge has claimed too many lives, or a manifestation of the restless energy that pervades the area. The combination of dizziness, whispers, and shadowy figures leaves many who cross after dark feeling vulnerable and watched, their unease heightened with every step. There are countless personal accounts that reinforce the Bridgia's haunted reputation. One driver reported pulling over after seeing a figure standing in the middle of the bridge. As they exited the car, the figure was gone, but the driver felt a cold hand graze their shoulder. They rushed back into the vehicle, heart pounding, and drove off without looking back. Another witness described walking across the bridge late at night, when they heard soft sobbing beneath the stillness, followed by a whisper their own name. When they turned to locate the source, no one was there, only the faint reflection of a figure disappearing into the shadows. Paranormal investigators have documented some of the Bridgia's phenomena. Audio recordings capture whispers and faint cries, while thermal imaging reveals sudden cold spots along the walkway that appear and vanish inexplicably. Cameras occasionally capture fleeting shapes or shadows that cannot be attributed to passing vehicles, wildlife, or natural movement. Investigators describe the bridge as saturated with residual energy, a place where tragic events and untimely deaths leave behind impressions strong enough to be sensed by the living. Despite its eerie reputation, Luling Bridge continues to see traffic. Locals, thrill seekers, and ghost hunters venture across its span, drawn by tales of ghostly hitchhikers, whispers, and shadowy figures. Most return with stories of chills, the sensation of unseen eyes following them, or fleeting glimpses of figures that vanish before they can be confronted. Most return with stories of chills, the sensation of unseen eyes following them, or fleeting glimpses of figures that vanish before they can be confronted. Some describe the air as heavier at night, carrying the weight of countless tragedies, while others simply feel a strange pull, as if the bridge itself wants them to notice what has occurred there. Today, Luling Bridge stands as both a functional rural crossing and a site steeped in legend. Its worn planks and weathered railings carry the memories of travelers who never reached the other side, and the spirits of those lost are said to linger along its span. Ghostly hitchhikers, shadowy figures, sudden dizziness, and whispers calling out names remind those who cross that the bridge is more than just a passage over water A. It is a place where the past refuses to rest, and the spirits of travelers remain tethered to the narrow lanes, eternally watching, waiting, and sometimes reaching out to the living. Pecos River Bridge in West Texas stretches over the wide, desolate waters of the Pecos River, its steel beams and weathered wooden planks standing against an endless horizon of scrubland and desert. By day, the bridge seems like a lonely relic, a forgotten crossing amid the vast emptiness of the region. But as night falls, the bridge takes on otherworldly presence, drawing tales of ghostly sightings, strange lights, and unexplained phenomena that have persisted for decades. Locals warn that anyone crossing after dark may encounter the spirits of the past, lingering long after their earthly lives ended. The history of Pecos River Bridge is entwined with tragedy and folklore. Built in the early 1900s to connect remote towns and facilitate trade, it became a lifeline for travelers navigating the harsh terrain of West Texas. But its remote location and narrow lanes made accidents frequent. Travelers lost control of wagons, horses bolted in fear, and vehicles fell victim to slick conditions or sudden drops along the riverbanks. Over the decades, Countless lives were claimed along its span, and locals say the souls of those lost never fully left the area. Legends of spectral riders have persisted, cementing the bridge's reputation as one of the most haunted locations in West Texas. One of the most commonly reported phenomena involves figures on horseback. Drivers and pedestrians alike have claimed to see ghostly riders emerge from the desert night, their forms glowing faintly in the moonlight. These riders often appear in the middle of the bridge or along the banks, their horses moving silently, hooves barely making contact with the planks or sand. Witnesses describe the riders as indistinct, shrouded in mist, yet unmistakably human, often dressed in period clothing from a century past. They vanish without warning, sometimes dissolving into fog or disappearing as vehicles approach, leaving only the sound of rushing wind or fading hoofbeats behind. Phantom lights above the river are another common occurrence. Many visitors report seeing small, glowing orbs floating just above the water, moving erratically or hovering in place for minutes at a time. On some nights, these lights form lines or clusters, as if guiding the way across the river, or sometimes appearing to trace the paths of boats that no longer exist. Boaters and fishermen have occasionally tried to approach the lights, only to find them vanish when they get too close. Locals believe these orbs are the spirits of lost travelers or riverfolk, tied to the waters and unable to leave, replaying their final journeys in spectral form. Eerie howls carried by the wind add to the Bridgia's chilling reputation. The sound is often described as both animal and human, a mournful cry that echoes across the riverbed and surrounding desert. Some visitors hear it rising and falling in rhythm, almost like a call and response, while others report a sudden, piercing howl that seems to come from directly behind them. Drivers have recounted gripping the wheel tightly, their hearts racing as the howls swirl around them in the darkness. Pedestrians report stopping mid-step, straining to identify the source, only to find empty banks and a river that appears perfectly still. Perhaps the most unnerving experiences involve vanishing passengers. Numerous drivers claim to have seen someone riding with them, seated silently in a car or truck as they cross the bridge, only for the figure to disappear moments later. Some say the passenger was visible in the rearview mirror or reflected in the side window, while others report glimpsing a hand resting briefly on the console. The sensation of someone leaving without warning, accompanied by a sudden chill, has left many shaken. Some witnesses even describe feeling a fleeting pressure on their shoulders or knees, as if the vanished figure had been physically present moments before. Accounts of these experiences abound. One motorist reported driving across Pecos River Bridge on a foggy night when she saw a faintly glowing rider on horseback pacing alongside her vehicle. She accelerated to pass the figure, only to glance in the side mirror and find no one there. At the same time, a small orb of light appeared above the river, hovering near the center of the bridge. Both vanished as she crossed to the far side, leaving her with a lingering sense of unease. Another tale involves a group of teenagers who camped near the bridge. They reported hearing howls in the distance, followed by sudden, unexplained movements in the shadows. When they investigated, they saw faint silhouettes of riders emerging from the desert, only to vanish into the night. Paranormal investigators have visited Pecos River Bridge to document these occurrences. Thermal cameras have recorded cold spots moving across the planks and riverbanks, while audio equipment captures faint whispers, howls, and indistinct voices. Cameras sometimes reveal fleeting shapes or glowing orbs that vanish the moment someone approaches. Investigators describe the area as saturated with residual energy, a place where past tragedies leave impressions strong enough to interact with the living in subtle, chilling ways. Despite its reputation, Pecos River Bridge continues to see travelers. Locals, ghost hunters, and curious adventurers all venture across the span, drawn by stories of spectral riders, phantom lights, and vanishing passengers. Most leave with a heightened sense of unease, recounting fleeting figures in the shadows, strange sounds echoing across the river, or lights that seem to move with a mind of their own. Despite its reputation, Pecos River Bridge continues to see travelers, locals, ghost hunters, and curious adventurers all venture across the span, drawn by stories of spectral riders, phantom lights, and vanishing passengers. Even those skeptical of the supernatural often report a lingering feeling that the bridge itself is alive, a crossing imbued with memories of tragedy and the spirits that never left. Today, Pecos River Bridge stands as a testament to the history and mystery of West Texas. Its steel beams and weathered wooden planks support travelers by day, but by night, the bridge becomes a stage for the restless. Ghostly riders pace the planks. Phantom lights drift above the waters. Howls echo across the desert, and vanishing passengers remind all who cross that some spirits never move on. Those who venture here after dark do so at their own risk, encountering a bridge where the past refuses to rest. And the supernatural lingers in every shadow. And Whisper the Wind, Brazos River Bridge in Fort Worth, Texas, spans the calm yet foreboding waters of the Brazos River, its steel beams and weather planks standing as a silent testament to decades of traffic and tragedy. By day, it appears ordinary, a simple crossing for commuters, pedestrians, and travelers. But as night falls, the bridge takes on a more sinister character. Locals speak in hushed tones of ghostly apparitions, unexplained sounds, and the chilling sensation that those who perished here long ago may still linger, watching, waiting, and occasionally interacting with the living. The bridge has a long history of accidents and misfortune. Built in the early 20th century to connect communities across the Brazos River, it quickly became a vital route. Yet its narrow lanes, slick surfaces during storms, and sudden curves made it dangerous. Vehicles plunged into the water, pedestrians fell from the edges, and countless lives were lost over the decades. Some of these tragedies were well documented, while others passed into local folklore. Over time, residents began reporting strange occurrences, claiming that the spirits of those lost on or near the bridge never truly left. One of the most commonly reported phenomena is the sound of phantom footsteps. People crossing the bridge late at night have described hearing the distinct sound of boots or shoes clicking across the wooden planks behind them. The footsteps often match the pace of the visitor, sometimes accelerating or stopping unexpectedly. Pedestrians who turn to see the source report an empty walkway, with nothing but the steel guardrails and the dark river below. Drivers have similarly experienced the sensation, hearing steps echoing on the pavement, even when no other vehicles or people are present. Ghostly voices are another hallmark of Brazos River Bridge. Visitors often report hearing whispers or calls that seem to come from the water itself, drifting across the river and the bridge with an eerie clarity. Some claim the voices repeat names, sometimes even their own, while others hear fragmented phrases, cries for help, or mournful wails. Many describe these sounds as both distant and close at the same time, as though the voices are surrounding them. Those who attempt to respond or speak back often find their words lost in the night, unanswered except for continued echoing of ghostly tones. Shadowy figures add to the chilling reputation of the bridge. Witnesses describe dark, human-shaped forms appearing suddenly on the roadway, lingering for moments before vanishing. Some figures are seen standing at the edges, staring silently into the water, while others appear to pace along the guardrails. Drivers report glimpsing these shapes in their headlights, only to find the road empty a moment later. Pedestrians recount feeling a presence near them, a sense of being observed or followed, even when the bridge appears deserted. The figures often give off an impression of sorrow or warning, as though the spirits are attempting to communicate something vital to those who cross. Perhaps the most unsettling reports involve physical sensations. Several witnesses claim to feel hands pushing them from behind, sudden, cold pressures against their shoulders or backs, despite the absence of anyone else on the bridge. Others describe a strange heaviness or chill that descends upon them mid-crossing, causing goosebumps and a shiver that runs from head to toe. Some drivers report their vehicles inexplicably slowing or stalling for a moment while on the bridge, accompanied by the feeling that an unseen force is interacting with them. These encounters leave a lasting impression, reinforcing the idea that the bridge is a conduit for restless spirits. One driver recalled crossing on a foggy night when he heard soft footsteps trailing his car. He glanced into the rearview mirror and saw a shadowy figure leaning toward the passenger seat, only for it to vanish when he blinked. Another pedestrian described hearing a womana-esque wail beneath the roar of the river, followed by a sudden cold gust and the feeling of being gently shoved forward, as though guided by an invisible hand. These experiences are often terrifying, yet those who encounter them cannot explain the events logically. Paranormal investigators have frequently visited Brazos River Bridge to document its eerie activity. Thermal cameras often detect sudden cold spots moving across the bridge, while audio equipment captures whispers, faint cries, and unexplained footsteps. Cameras sometimes record fleeting shapes or shadowy silhouettes that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the bridge as saturated with residual energy, a place where past tragedies leave lasting impressions that interact with the living in subtle, chilling ways. Despite its reputation, Brazos River Bridge continues to be crossed by travelers, locals, and curious visitors. Thrill seekers and ghost hunters come in hopes of witnessing its phenomena, while commuters often remain unaware of the chilling history that surrounds them. Most who cross after dark report a heightened awareness, a sense that the bridge remembers those who fell here and that the spirits of the drowned or those lost in accidents are still present. Today, Brazos River Bridge stands as both a functional structure and a haunted landmark. Its steel beams and planks carry vehicles and pedestrians across the Brazos River. Phantom footsteps, ghostly voices, shadowy figures, and cold touches serve as constant reminders that the bridge holds the memories of those who perished here. For those brave enough to cross after nightfall, the bridge offers a chilling experience, a connection to the past, and the unnerving presence of spirits that refuse to rest. The Colorado River Bridge in Austin, Texas, stretches across the wide, slow-moving waters of the Colorado River, its steel and concrete structure a familiar sight to commuters by day. By day, the bridge is bustling, the hum of traffic blending with the gentle lapping of the river below. But when night falls, the crossing takes on a far more ominous presence. Locals speak of strange occurrences, warning travelers to be cautious after dark. The bridge is said to host lingering spirits, echoing tragedies, and unexplained phenomena that make crossing it a chilling experience. The history of the bridge is marked by sorrow. Decades ago, the bridge became known not just for its utility, but for the tragedies that unfolded there. Among the most persistent legends is that of a man who jumped from a bridge many years ago, leaving behind only sorrow and unanswered questions. According to local lore, his spirit never found peace and continues to haunt the bridge, pacing along the guardrails at night and staring into the water below, searching for a way to move on. This story has fueled countless reports of ghostly sightings and supernatural experiences on and near the bridge. One of the most commonly reported phenomena is the appearance of shadowy figures. Visitors often describe indistinct human shapes that seem to move along the walkway or the guardrails, vanishing when approached. Drivers have reported glimpsing a silhouette in the reflection of their rearview mirrors, only to find nothing upon looking directly. Pedestrians crossing the bridge late at night have described seeing figures pause mid-step, gazing into the river as though waiting for someone or something, before dissolving into the darkness. These apparitions are often accompanied by a palpable sense of unease, a weight in the chest, and the feeling that someone is silently watching. Cold spots are another hallmark of the Bridgia-esque supernatural activity. Even on warm nights, visitors frequently report sudden drops in temperature along certain sections of the bridge. These cold pockets are often localized, appearing in the center of the walkway or near the guardrails, and they are sometimes accompanied by a faint, unnatural breeze. Many pedestrians describe goosebumps and shivers as the cold washes over them, a sensation that seems almost intentional, as though the spirits themselves are making their presence known. Paranormal investigators visiting the site have recorded temperature fluctuations of several degrees in seconds, reinforcing the Bridge's reputation as a hotspot for unexplained phenomena. Whispers and voices add to the eerie atmosphere. People crossing the bridge have reported hearing low murmurs, sometimes clear enough to be interpreted as warnings. Some have claimed to hear phrases like a donatigo or a watch out, a carry across the planks and into the night air. Others hear faint, sorrowful cries echoing from the water below. Pedestrians often report that these sounds come from no discernible source, surrounding them from all directions, and disappear in the moment they attempt to locate the origin. The combination of whispers, shadows, and sudden cold creates a hauntingly immersive experience for anyone who ventures across the bridge at night. One particularly chilling phenomenon involves the spectral figure of the man said to have jumped from a bridge. Witnesses have described seeing him pacing along the guardrails, head bowed or staring into the river, sometimes appearing translucent and shimmering in the moonlight. Some drivers report catching a glimpse of him standing near the edge, then vanishing as they approach, leaving a lingering sense of dread. Pedestrians occasionally describe the figure appearing to linger for minutes, as if contemplating the water below, before slowly disappearing into night fog. Locals believe that the Mana spirit continues to replay his final moments, trapped between the world of the living and the unknown beyond. Accounts from visitors highlight the intensity of the Bridge's haunting. One commuter reported feeling a sudden pressure on the shoulder while walking across late at night, accompanied by a drop in temperature and the faint sound of footsteps pacing behind him. Another driver claimed their car radio began to crackle and emit faint whispers as they crossed, voices that seemed to carry warnings about the bridge and the river below. Pedestrians have described dizziness, chills, and a feeling of being guided or observed, as though the spirits are aware of their presence and intent on making themselves known. Paranormal investigators visiting the Colorado River Bridge have documented numerous anomalies. Cameras capture fleeting shadows along the guardrails, while thermal imaging reveals sudden cold pockets and heat signatures that vanish instantly. Audio equipment frequently records unexplained whispers, low murmurs, and cries that do not match the surrounding environment. Investigators describe the bridge as a site saturated with residual energy, where past tragedies leave impressions that interact with the living in subtle and disturbing ways. Investigators describe the bridge as a site saturated with residual energy, where past tragedies leave impressions that interact with the living in subtle and disturbing ways. Despite its chilling reputation, the Colorado River Bridge remains a heavily used crossing. Commuters, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts all traverse its span, often unaware of its haunted history. Those who experience its supernatural phenomena rarely forget the shadowy figures, cold spots, whispers, and a spectral man pacing the guardrails leave lasting impressions. Visitors frequently report a lingering unease, a sense that the bridge itself remembers the lives lost upon it, and that some spirits remain tied to the planks and railings, searching for peace that may never come. Today, the Colorado River Bridge stands as both a functional crossing and a place steeped in legend. By day, it carries vehicles and pedestrians safely across the river. By night, it becomes a stage for the restless shadows pacing, whispers drifting across the water, cold spots materializing unexpectedly, and a lone figure eternally trapped in sorrow. Those who cross after dark often feel the weight of history pressing down upon them, a chilling reminder that the bridge is more than just steel and concrete. It is a place where the past refuses to rest, and where the spirit of one man continues to search for release. The Rio Grande Bridge in El Paso, Texas, stretches across the wide, flowing waters of the Rio Grande, linking the city to the lands beyond. By day, it is a bustling thoroughfare, filled with the sounds of traffic, pedestrians, and the occasional breeze rustling to the nearby desert. But as night descends, the bridge transforms into something far more unsettling. Locals whisper of ghostly encounters, strange lights, and inexplicable sensations that have plagued the crossing for decades. Travelers who dare to cross after dark often report experiences that defy logic, as if the spirits of the past linger in the air, watching and waiting. For over a century, it has served as a key crossing for travelers, traders, and migrants, connecting communities and facilitating commerce. Yet its location over a wide, fast-flowing river made it dangerous, particularly for those unfamiliar with its treacherous currents and surrounding terrain. Over the years, countless people lost their lives attempting to cross by foot, wagon, or vehicle. Some drowned in the river below, while others vanished without a trace, leaving behind only stories of their fates. Locals believe these souls never fully left, trapped in a liminal space between worlds, and their presence continues to manifest on and around the bridge. One of the most frequently reported phenomena is the appearance of ghostly figures. Witnesses describe them standing on the edges of the bridge, pacing along the guardrails, or appearing suddenly in the middle of the roadway. These figures often vanish when approached, leaving behind only a chilling sense of being observed. Drivers have reported glimpsing shadows in their headlights, only for the shapes to dissolve as they try to focus on them. Pedestrians have recounted seeing figures leaning over the side, staring into the water below, as though searching for a lost companion or repeating the final moments of their lives. Phantom footsteps are another hallmark of the bridge's haunting. Travelers crossing late at night frequently hear the sound of footsteps trailing them, matching their pace or echoing in irregular patterns across the wooden planks and steel supports. These steps often stop abruptly or move unpredictably, heightening the sense of unease. Some pedestrians have turned to confront the source, only to find the walkway empty. Drivers have reported similar experiences, hearing footsteps along the roadway or the hum of phantom movement inside their vehicles, accompanied by sudden chills that seem to press against them from all directions. Strange lights under the bridge add to its spectral reputation. Witnesses describe glowing orbs hovering just above the river, moving along the water's surface or flickering among the supports. Occasionally, these lights form shapes resembling figures or appear to guide the way across the bridge. Some people report the lights moving in synchrony with their vehicles or footsteps, as if aware of their presence. Attempts to approach or touch the lights are often futile. They vanish without warning, leaving behind only the reflection of the river and the sound of water rushing below. Paranormal investigators suggest that these lights may be residual energy left by those who perish in the river or on the bridge itself. Visitors have also described sudden dizziness or disorientation while crossing. Pedestrians report feeling unsteady, as though pulled toward the water or struggling to maintain their balance, even on flat sections of the bridge. Drivers have experienced similar sensations, describing an almost magnetic pull toward the river or the feeling of their vehicles drifting slightly without input. Some believe these sensations are the spirits attempting to reach out, recreating the struggle or desperation of their final moments. The combination of dizziness, phantom footsteps, and spectral figures creates a chilling experience that few forget. Accounts of these phenomena are widespread. One commuter reported driving across the bridge when the radio suddenly crackled with static, followed by faint whispers repeating the name of a person he didn't know. At the same time, he saw a shadowy figure standing on the guardrail, staring at the water. When he blinked, the figure vanished. Another story involves a group of teenagers who ventured onto the bridge at night. They heard footsteps behind them, felt cold gusts pressing against their backs, and saw faint glowing lights under the bridge. Despite their fear, they stayed long enough to witness a figure leaning over the water, only to disappear moments later. Paranormal investigators visiting the Rio Grande Bridge report similar experiences. Audio recordings often capture faint whispers, indistinct cries, and echoes that cannot be explained by traffic or the environment. Thermal cameras detect sudden cold spots moving along the bridge, and video equipment occasionally picks up fleeting shapes or glowing orbs that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the site as saturated with residual energy, a place where tragedy has left a lingering mark, and where the boundary between the living and the dead feels particularly thin. Despite its reputation, the Rio Grande Bridge remains a vital crossing in El Paso. Commuters, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers alike traverse its span, often unaware of the chilling history beneath their feet. Those who experience the hauntings rarely forget the shadowy figures, phantom footsteps, strange lights, and the sensation of being pulled toward the water leave lasting impressions. Many report a lingering sense that the spirits of travelers lost to the river continue to wander the bridge, eternally caught between the world of the living and the unknown beyond. Today, the Rio Grande Bridge stands as both a functional structure and a place steeped in legend. Its steel and concrete supports carry vehicles and pedestrians across the river by day, but at night it becomes a site where the past is never far away. Ghostly figures pace the guardrails. Phantom footsteps echo across the planks. Strange lights dance above the water. The sensation of being pulled toward the river reminds all who cross that some souls remain trapped, their journeys incomplete. For those who dare to venture here after dark, the bridge offers an unsettling encounter with the spirits of travelers forever lost to the Rio Grande. The Trinity River Bridge in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, stretches across the wide expanse of the Trinity River, its steel beams and concrete supports rising above the water like silent sentinels. By day, it functions as a standard bridge, bustling with vehicles, cyclists, and pedestrians crossing between communities. But as night falls, the bridge transforms into a place steeped in chilling legends. For decades, locals have reported eerie encounters, from shadowy figures pacing along the edges to voices calling out for help, and flickering lights that seem to float above the river. The eerie atmosphere is palpable, as if the bridge is a threshold between worlds. Many believe that the spirits haunting the bridge are those of individuals who drown in the river below, and that they linger to warn the living of the dangers that claimed them. The history of the Trinity River Bridge is intertwined with tragedy. Its location over the wide, often unpredictable waters of the Trinity River made it a treacherous crossing long before modern safety measures were installed. Floods and strong currents claimed the lives of numerous individuals who attempted to cross the river or fell from the bridge's edges. Over time, tales of drownings and accidents accumulated, creating a reputation for the bridge as a place where the boundary between life and death is unerringly thin. Residents began reporting unexplained phenomena, and the bridge became a focal point for local ghost stories. One of the most commonly reported experiences involves shadowy figures. Visitors to the bridge after dark have described dark, human-like silhouettes moving along the edges, pacing near the guardrails, or vanishing suddenly as if they were never there. Pedestrians recount the unnerving sensation of being watched, a presence close enough to feel yet invisible to the eye. Drivers occasionally report seeing figures in their headlights, only to find the roadway empty moments later. Some witnesses believe that these apparitions are the spirits of those who drowned, endlessly retracing the moments before their deaths. Voices calling out for help are another hallmark of the Bridge's hauntings. People crossing at night frequently report hearing faint cries echoing from the water below or whispers along the walkway. These sounds are often described as urgent or desperate, as if the voices are pleading to be heard. Some pedestrians claim the voices repeat names or speak in fragmented sentences, warning travelers of unseen dangers. Drivers have reported hearing the cries through closed windows and even on car radios, giving the impression that the bridge itself amplifies the calls of those lost in its history. Phantom lights add another layer to the Bridge's eerie reputation. Witnesses describe small, flickering orbs that float above the water or move along the Bridge's supports. The lights are said to appear suddenly and vanish just as quickly, sometimes following the path of a vehicle or pedestrian. Some have suggested these lights are manifestations of restless spirits or residual energy left by tragic events on the bridge. Paranormal enthusiasts report that the lights often appear on misty nights, giving the bridge an otherworldly glow that adds to its sense of foreboding. In addition to visual and auditory phenomena, many visitors report a physical sensation of unease while crossing the Trinity River Bridge. Pedestrians often describe sudden chills, a feeling of heaviness, or a subtle pull toward the river, as if the spirits below are attempting to reach out. Some drivers claim their vehicles slow inexplicably, or that they feel a weight pressing down as they cross the bridge at night. These sensations, combined with shadowy figures, voices, and flickering lights, create a chilling atmosphere that lingers long after leaving the bridge. Personal accounts of these occurrences are numerous. One motorist reported driving across on a foggy night when she glimpsed a shadowy figure pacing along the guardrail. At the same moment, a faint cry came from the river, and her car headlights flickered. The figure vanished as she approached, leaving only the sound of rushing water and a lingering chill. Another pedestrian described hearing their name called from the mist, followed by the sensation of cold air brushing against their back. When they turned, there was no one there, only the river flowing quietly beneath them. Paranormal investigators have often visited the Trinity River Bridge to document its strange activity. Audio devices frequently capture faint cries, whispers, and echoes, while thermal cameras reveal sudden cold spots moving along the bridge. Video equipment sometimes records fleeting shadows or flickering lights that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the site as highly charged with residual energy, a place where past tragedies leave lasting imprints that interact with the living. The bridge seems to serve as a conduit between the present and the memories of those who lost their lives in its waters. Despite its haunted reputation, the Trinity River Bridge remains a heavily used crossing. Commuters, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts alike traverse its span daily, though many are unaware of the chilling history lurking beneath its surface. Those who experience the hauntings rarely forget them. Shadowy figures, voices, and phantom lights leave lasting impressions, creating a heightened sense of awareness and caution. Many believe that these spirits are not merely wandering aimlessly, but are actively warning travelers to be careful, their presence a reminder of the Rivera's treacherous nature. Today, the Trinity River Bridge stands as both a functional infrastructure and a site of local legend. By day, it carries the rhythm of daily life across the river, but by night, it becomes a stage for the restless. Shadowy figures pace the edges, voices echo in the mist, and phantom lights flicker above the water. For those who cross after dark, the bridge offers a chilling connection to the past, a reminder that some spirits are bound to places where they perished, forever watching, warning, and lingering just beyond the veil of the living world. The San Marcos River Bridge in San Marcos, Texas, stretches over the gentle yet sometimes deceptively strong waters of the San Marcos River. By day, it is a simple, functional structure, bustling with traffic, pedestrians, and cyclists. But as night falls, the bridge transforms into a place steeped in eerie legends and haunting experiences. Locals tell stories of ghostly apparitions, unexplained cold drafts, and spectral laughter that seem to follow travelers as they cross. Many believe the spirits that linger here are the souls of those who perished in both historical and modern accidents, trapped in a liminal space between this world and the next. The bridge's history is marked by both tragedy and folklore. Built decades ago, it has been a site for countless accidents, ranging from pedestrians slipping off the edges to vehicles skidding into the river during storms. Over the years, drownings and collisions claimed numerous lives, leaving an indelible mark on the community. Modern accidents have only added to the bridge's eerie reputation. As stories of misfortune accumulated, so too did tales of spectral sightings. Locals and visitors alike began reporting strange phenomena, creating a reputation that has persisted into the present day. One of the most frequently reported experiences involves shadowy apparitions. Pedestrians walking the bridge late at night have described dark, human-like figures moving along the guardrails or the walkway. Sometimes these figures appear to be pacing, as if retracing a tragic sequence of events, or standing still, staring silently at the river below. Drivers often report glimpsing similar shapes in their headlights, only to find the roadway empty moments later. Witnesses frequently describe a feeling of being watched, a presence so close it is almost tangible, yet invisible. Ghostly laughter is another chilling phenomenon reported on the bridge. Those who cross after dark have often heard faint, high-pitched laughter echoing across the planks or off the steel supports. Some describe the laughter as playful yet haunting, a paradoxical mix of innocence and sorrow. Drivers have reported similar experiences, hearing the laughter faintly over the hum of their engines, creating a disorienting effect that amplifies the sense of unease. Cold drafts and sudden chills are also common for those who traverse the bridge at night. Even on warm evenings, visitors frequently report sudden drops in temperature, localized to specific spots along the bridge. These chills often coincide with other paranormal activity, such as ghostly footsteps or glimpses of apparitions. Some pedestrians describe goosebumps or a sudden feeling of heaviness, as if the air itself carries the weight of past tragedies. Drivers are recounted feeling a brief, inexplicable draft brushing against their vehicles, creating a momentary sense of tension and dread. Perhaps the most unnerving sightings involve figures clinging to the guardrails. When approached, the figures vanish without a trace, leaving only the echo of movement and the ripple of water beneath the bridge. Witnesses often describe an overwhelming sense of empathy and sorrow, as if the spirits are bound to the bridge, unable to leave until someone acknowledges their presence. Locals believe that these are the souls of those who lost their lives on the bridge, replaying their final moments eternally. First-hand accounts of these experiences abound. One pedestrian described walking across the bridge late at night when she heard faint laughter behind her, followed by a cold gust of wind that made her shiver. When she turned, she saw a dark figure clinging to the guardrail, peering toward the river. By the time she blinked, the figure was gone. Another witness, driving home from work, reported seeing a shadow pacing along the Bridge's edge. Paranormal investigators have visited the San Marcos River Bridge to document its activity. Audio equipment frequently captures faint whispers and eerie laughter, while thermal cameras reveal sudden cold spots moving along the walkway and guardrails. Video recordings sometimes capture fleeting shadows or figures that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the bridge as a location saturated with residual energy, where memories of tragic deaths interact with the living in subtle but unmistakable ways. Despite its reputation, the San Marcos River Bridge remains a commonly used crossing. Commuters, locals, and curious visitors traverse its span daily, often unaware of the chilling history beneath their feet. Those who encounter the haunting phenomena rarely forget them. Shadowy figures, ghostly laughter, cold drafts, and vanishing apparitions leave lasting impressions, creating a heightened sense of awareness and respect for the Bridge's dark past. Many believe that the spirits linger not to harm, but to remind travelers of the fragility of life and the events that unfolded here. Today, the San Marcos River Bridge stands as both a functional roadway and a site of local legend. By night, it becomes a stage for restless spirits, where shadowy figures pace, laughter echoes across the planks, cold drafts sweep unexpectedly, and apparitions cling to guardrails, trapped between life and death. For those who cross after dark, the bridge offers an unsettling glimpse into the past, a reminder that some souls are bound to places where their lives ended, unable to find rest until acknowledged by the living. The Nueces River Bridge in Corpus Christi, Texas, spans the wide waters of the Nueces River, linking neighborhood highways and stretches of rural land. By day, it appears as a standard bridge, its concrete supports and steel railings functional and unremarkable. Yet after dark, it becomes a place shrouded in stories of the supernatural. Locals tell of ghostly figures, sudden fogs, and unexplained whispers carried on the wind. Those who travel across the bridge at night often describe chilling encounters, sensing that the bridge itself carries memories of those who met untimely ends here. The history of the Nueces River Bridge is intertwined with tragedy and folklore. Built decades ago to connect communities and facilitate travel in the Corpus Christi area, the bridge has seen its share of accidents. Vehicles have plunged into the river, pedestrians have fallen from the edges, and countless lives have been lost along its span. Over time, these incidents gave rise to tales of lingering spirits and paranormal phenomena. Locals began reporting shadowy silhouettes, strange lights, and voices that seemed to echo from nowhere. The Nueces River Bridge remains a testament to the dark history and folklore that surrounds it. The bridge became known not just as a functional crossing, but as a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin. One of the most commonly reported experiences involves ghostly silhouettes. Witnesses often describe human-shaped figures appearing suddenly on the roadway or along the edges of the bridge. Pedestrians walking at night sometimes glimpse figures pacing along the railings or standing motionless, staring into the river below. Drivers have reported seeing silhouettes illuminated briefly by their headlights, only for them to vanish instantly when approached. Many describe a sense of being watched, a presence nearby that is impossible to see fully but impossible to ignore. The apparitions are often described as faint, translucent, and almost ethereal, as if trapped between worlds. Unexplained fogs are another hallmark of the Bridgia-esque haunting. Travelers frequently report thick, low-hanging mist rolling across the roadway, appearing suddenly without any change in weather. This fog often limits visibility, enveloping drivers and pedestrians in an eerie, otherworldly atmosphere. Some claim the fog seems to move with them, drifting along the planks or following the contours of their vehicles. Locals believe these sudden fogs are tied to the spirits of those who died near or on a bridge, lingering as a visible manifestation of the Bridgia-esque tragic past. Whispers in the wind add a chilling auditory element to the Bridgia-esque reputation. Visitors report faint voices calling out, sometimes repeating names or urgent warnings. The whispers are often indecipherable, carried on the breeze from the river or seemingly emanating from the planks beneath their feet. Pedestrians describe the unsettling sensation of the voices surrounding them from all directions, fading whenever they attempt to pinpoint their source. Drivers report similar experiences, hearing whispers through closed windows or over the hum of the engine, creating a haunting impression that the bridge itself is alive with unseen activity. Perhaps the most unsettling reports involve drivers encountering figures that vanish instantly. Numerous motorists have described seeing shadowy shapes standing in the middle of the bridge, illuminated by headlights, only for the figures to disappear the moment they approach. Some report feeling a sudden pressure or chill in the car at the same time, as though the presence is interacting physically. Pedestrians have similarly recounted seeing apparitions clinging to the railings, leaning over the river, then dissolving into mist before anyone can reach them. These fleeting encounters leave witnesses shaken, often lingering with a sense of unease long after they leave the bridge. Accounts of these experiences are widespread. One driver recalled crossing the bridge on a foggy night, when the headlights caught the faint outline of a figure pacing along the roadway. By the time he slowed down and focused, the figure had vanished entirely, leaving only the echo of footsteps and the quiet flow of the river beneath. A group of teenagers walking across the bridge late at night reported hearing whispers in the wind and seeing shadowy figures along the guardrails. Each figure vanished the moment they tried to approach, leaving behind only a lingering chill and the sensation of being watched. Paranormal investigators have visited the Nueces River Bridge to document its activity. Audio equipment frequently captures faint whispers and unintelligible murmurs, while thermal cameras reveal cold spots appearing and disappearing along the walkway. Video footage occasionally records fleeting silhouettes or shapes that vanish when approached. Investigators describe the bridge as a location saturated with residual energy, where the memory of accidents and deaths create impressions that linger in the physical world. The bridge seems to act as a threshold, a place where the past interacts with the present in subtle and unnerving ways. Despite its reputation, the Nueces River Bridge remains a functional crossing in Corpus Christi. Commuters, thrill seekers, and curious visitors travel its span daily, often unaware of the chilling history lurking beneath their feet. Those who encounter the supernatural rarely forget its shadowy silhouettes, ghostly whispers, and sudden fogs leave lasting impressions, creating a heightened sense of awareness and respect for the Bridgia-esque dark past. Many believe that the spirits are not malicious, but that they linger to warn or simply make their presence known, a reminder of the lives lost and the tragedies that occurred along the river. Today, the Nueces River Bridge stands as both a vital roadway and a haunted landmark. By day, it carries traffic safely across the river, blending seamlessly into the urban and rural landscape. By night, however, it becomes a stage for restless spirits, with shadowy figures pacing the roadway, and whispers carried on the wind, for those who cross after dark. The bridge offers a haunting connection to the past, a place where the memories of tragedy remain alive, and where the boundary between the living and the dead feels impossibly thin. The Sabine River Bridge in East Texas spans the wide, slow-moving waters of the Sabine River, connecting small towns and rural roads that have existed for generations. By day, the bridge appears ordinary, its steel supports and weather planks carrying vehicles and pedestrians safely across the river. Yet by night, the bridge takes on an entirely different character, steeped in stories of ghostly encounters and unexplained phenomena. Locals whisper of phantom cries, shadowy figures, and strange sensations that seem to follow anyone who dares to cross after dark. Many believe that the bridge is haunted by spirits tied to those who perished in tragic accidents along its span. The history of the Sabine River Bridge is a mixture of practical construction and human tragedy. Built decades ago to connect East Texas communities and facilitate commerce, the bridge quickly became a vital crossing. However, its narrow lanes, slick surfaces during rain, and sharp curves made it a dangerous passage, particularly in inclement weather or at night. Vehicles occasionally veered off the roadway, and pedestrians sometimes fell into the river, leading to numerous drownings and fatalities. Over the years, the bridge earned a reputation as a site of sorrow, where the spirits of those lost linger, unable or unwilling to move on. Local folklore grew alongside the stories of accidents, giving rise to reports of paranormal phenomena that continue to this day. One of the most common experiences reported on the bridge involves phantom cries. Visitors frequently hear faint, agonized wails echoing across the river or along the walkway, carrying an unmistakable sense of desperation. Some pedestrians claim that the cries are accompanied by whispers, almost pleading for help, while others describe the sound as rising and falling in intensity, as if the voices are moving with them. Drivers crossing the bridge have also reported hearing these cries, often muffled and distorted, but clearly human in origin. Many say that the cries evoke a visceral sense of empathy, chilling those who hear them to the bone. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of the Bridgia-esque hauntings. Witnesses often describe dark, human-shaped silhouettes appearing on the roadway, pacing along the guardrails, or leaning over the edge to peer into the river below. Pedestrians recount the unsettling feeling of being watched as they walk, while drivers report glimpsing figures in their headlights, only to see them vanish without a trace moments later. The apparitions are often described as translucent, almost as if trapped between the material world and the afterlife. Many believe these figures represent the spirits of those who lost their lives on or near the bridge, replaying their final moments in an endless loop. Footsteps echoing across the planks add a chilling auditory element to the Bridgia-esque reputation. Pedestrians frequently hear the sound of boots or shoes pacing behind them, even when no one else is present. Sometimes the footsteps quicken, keeping pace with the visitor, or fall silent abruptly, leaving an eerie void. Drivers have similarly reported hearing faint thuds or tapping sounds against their vehicles, as if an unseen presence is traveling alongside them. These phantom footsteps often coincide with other paranormal activity, such as shadowy figures or sudden temperature drops, creating an immersive and unnerving experience. Some witnesses describe physical sensations that defy explanation. Pedestrians have reported feeling cold hands brush past their shoulders or backs, even in the absence of anyone else on the bridge. Others feel an inexplicable heaviness, as if the air itself carries the weight of past tragedies. Drivers occasionally experience sudden chills inside their vehicles or a brief sense of being guided or pushed, though there is no one in the car. These physical manifestations reinforce the belief that the bridge is more than a mere crossing. It is a space where the spirits of the past interact with the living. Numerous first-hand accounts highlight the Bridgia-esque chilling reputation. One pedestrian described walking across on a misty night when she heard a series of cries emanating from the river below. She looked up to see a shadowy figure leaning over the guardrail, disappearing the moment she blinked. Another driver reported seeing a dark silhouette pacing along the side of the road, while his headlights illuminated the bridge. When he slowed down to get a better look, the figure vanished entirely, leaving him with a lingering sense of dread. Paranormal investigators have frequently visited the Sabine River Bridge to document these occurrences. Audio equipment often captures faint cries, whispers, and footsteps, while thermal imaging reveals sudden cold spots along the planks and guardrails. Video recordings sometimes show fleeting figures or shadows that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the bridge as a site saturated with residual energy, where the memories of past tragedies remain palpable, interacting subtly yet powerfully with those who cross. Despite its chilling reputation, the Sabine River Bridge continues to serve as a vital connection for East Texas residents. Commuters, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts traverse the bridge daily, often unaware of the stories that linger with every step. Those who experience the hauntings rarely forget them, recounting shadowy figures, phantom cries, footsteps, and cold touches that leave lasting impressions. Many believe that the spirits remain to warn travelers or simply to remind the living of the tragedies that unfolded here, ensuring that the Bridge's dark history is never forgotten. Today, the Sabine River Bridge stands as both a functional crossing and a haunted landmark. By day, it carries vehicles and pedestrians safely across the river, blending into the surrounding landscape. By night, it becomes a place where shadowy figures pace. Cries echo across the water, footsteps follow, and unseen hands brush past. Those who cross after dark are confronted with the lingering presence of spirits trapped between worlds. A chilling reminder that some souls are tied forever to the places where their lives ended. The Red River Bridge in North Texas spans the wide, flowing waters of the Red River, connecting the Lone Star State with its northern neighbor and serving as a vital thoroughfare for travelers and locals alike. By day, it is a familiar structure, its steel beams and concrete supports carrying vehicles steadily across the river. But as the sun sets, the bridge takes on a far more unsettling character. For decades, stories have circulated of ghostly figures, strange lights beneath the bridge, and whispers calling out names in the wind. Locals say that the spirits haunting the Red River Bridge are those of lost travelers and accident victims, trapped in a liminal space, eternally tied to the bridge where their lives ended. The Bridge's history is marked by tragedy. Over the years, numerous accidents occurred on and around the Red River Bridge. Vehicles have veered off the roadway, pedestrians have fallen from the edges, and in some cases, entire cars were lost to the river below. Floods and treacherous conditions often worsen the dangers, claiming lives and leaving families mourning without closure. The memories of these tragedies are said to linger, giving rise to paranormal reports that continue to this day. From shadowy figures pacing the guardrails to inexplicable lights glimmering under the bridge, the Red River Bridge has become a focal point for supernatural lore in North Texas. Shadowy figures are one of the most frequently reported phenomena. Visitors recount seeing dark, human-shaped silhouettes standing on the edges of the bridge, pacing along the railings, or appearing suddenly in the middle of the roadway. Pedestrians often describe a feeling of being watched as they cross, a presence so close it seems tangible yet invisible. Drivers report glimpsing figures illuminated briefly by their headlights, only to vanish the moment they focus on them. These apparitions are frequently described as translucent, ethereal, and sorrowful, as if replaying the final moments of lives lost in accidents or drowned in the river below. Strange lights beneath the bridge add another layer to its haunting. Witnesses describe glowing orbs or flickering lights hovering above the water, moving along the Rivera's surface, or appearing to drift in sync with passing vehicles. Some say the lights take on human-like shapes or appear to beckon travelers toward the water, only to vanish as they approach. Paranormal enthusiasts suggest that these lights are manifestations of residual energy left by those who perished here, lingering as a visual reminder of the Bridge's tragic history. Locals often report that these lights are most visible on foggy or rainy nights, giving the bridge an otherworldly glow that unnerves even the most skeptical observer. Whispers calling out names are another hallmark of the Red River Bridge's supernatural activity. Pedestrians frequently report hearing faint, almost imperceptible voices carried by the wind, repeating their own names or uttering urgent warnings. Drivers have similarly described hearing whispers through closed car windows, creating the sensation that someone or something is reaching out from the shadows. The voices are often indecipherable, leaving listeners with a lingering sense of unease and the impression that the spirits are trying to communicate or seek attention from the living. Some of the most disturbing accounts involve passengers vanishing from vehicles. Witnesses recount instances where friends or family members sitting in cars seem to disappear suddenly during a crossing. Others report feeling a presence sitting beside them or sensing hands brushing their shoulders, despite the seats appearing empty. While these occurrences are rare, they have cemented the Bridgia-S reputation as a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is unervingly thin. Locals caution travelers to remain alert, particularly at night, for the bridge is said to host restless spirits with unfinished business. First-hand accounts of the Bridgia-S hauntings abound. One driver recalled crossing on a foggy night when he saw a shadow pacing along the guardrail. At the same moment, he heard faint whispers calling his name, and his headlights briefly illuminated a glowing figure hovering above the river. By the time he slowed to observe, the figure had vanished entirely. Another witness, a pedestrian walking late at night, described seeing silhouettes leaning over the edges, peering into the water, before disappearing as he approached. Both encounters left a lingering sense of dread and an understanding that the bridge held memories of the lives lost upon it. Paranormal investigators visiting the Red River Bridge have documented multiple anomalies. Audio devices capture faint whispers, cries, and echoes that do not correspond with any external source. Thermal cameras detect sudden cold spots that appear along the Bridgia-S walkway, and video equipment occasionally records shadowy figures or flickering lights that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the bridge as a site rich with residual energy, a place where past tragedies continue to interact with the living, creating a chilling experience for anyone who dares to cross after dark. Despite its eerie reputation, the Red River Bridge remains a crucial crossing in North Texas. Commuters, travelers, and ghost hunters alike traverse its span, often unaware of the spectral history lurking around them. Those who encounter the hauntings rarely forget the experience. Shadowy figures, phantom lights, whispers, and sudden, unexplained sensations leave lasting impressions, reinforcing the idea that the bridge is a conduit between the living and the dead. Many locals believe that these spirits linger not to harm, but to warn travelers and ensure that the memories of lost lives are never forgotten. Today, the Red River Bridge stands as both a functional structure and a landmark of local legend. By night, it becomes a stage for the restless A. Shadowy figures pacing, whispers echoing through the wind, lights flickering above the water, and fleeting passengers disappearing without a trace. For those who dare to cross after dark, the bridge offers an unsettling reminder that some souls remain tethered to the places where their lives ended, eternally haunting the Red River Bridge. The Lampasas River Bridge in Lampasas County, Texas, spans the quiet, winding waters of the Lampasas River, connecting stretches of rural road that have existed for generations. By day, it is an unassuming structure, its wooden planks and steel rails blending into the surrounding countryside. But when night falls, the bridge becomes a center of local ghost stories and chilling encounters. For decades, residents and travelers have reported hearing footsteps echoing along the planks, seeing shadowy figures linger near the guardrails, and spotting ghostly lanterns floating beneath the bridge. Many believe that the spirits haunting this rural crossing are tied to a long-forgotten tragedy, when settlers and outlaws met violent ends along the riverbanks. The history of the Lampasas River Bridge is steeped in hardship and conflict. In the 19th century, the area surrounding the river was a place of constant tension between early settlers and roaming outlaws. Skirmishes, ambushes, and disputes over land claims often ended in death, and the river itself became a witness to countless tragedies. When the bridge was eventually constructed to connect the local communities, it inherited the weight of this dark past. Locals began reporting strange occurrences near the bridge, attributing them to the spirits of those who perished along the river, unable to leave the scene of their violent ends. Over time, these stories grew into the legends that still haunt the Lampasas River Bridge today. Footsteps are one of the most commonly reported phenomena On the bridge, visitors crossing at night often hear the unmistakable sound of boots or shoes striking the wooden planks behind them, even when they are alone. Sometimes the footsteps match their own pace, creating the unnerving impression that someone is walking alongside them. Other times, the steps accelerate or fall silent abruptly, leaving an unsettling echo in the night. Pedestrians report turning to confront the source, only to find the bridge empty, with nothing but the whispering wind and the flowing river below. Witnesses often describe dark, indistinct shapes that appear along the guardrails or hover just beyond the edges of the bridge. Drivers have also recounted hearing footsteps as they slow across the bridge, accompanied by the sensation of being observed from just beyond the vehicle's windows. Witnesses often describe dark, indistinct shapes that appear along the guardrails or hover just beyond the edges of the bridge. Some figures are said to pace the walkway, while others simply linger, staring silently into the river below. Pedestrians who approach these shapes report that they vanish instantly, leaving only a sense of cold presence in their wake. Drivers have occasionally glimpsed figures illuminated briefly by their headlights, only to disappear the moment they attempt to get a closer look. Many believe these figures represent the spirits of settlers or outlaws who met their end near the river, eternally replaying the moments of their demise. Ghostly lanterns are another chilling phenomenon associated with the bridge. On foggy nights, witnesses report seeing small, glowing lights hovering beneath the structure, drifting along the Rivera-esque surface as if carried by unseen hands. The lanterns appear and disappear without warning, sometimes floating upward toward the bridge, and other times disappearing into the darkness along the riverbank. Paranormal enthusiasts often describe the lanterns as eerily warm yet intangible, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who sees them. Local folklore suggests that these lights are manifestations of the souls of those who perished in the old conflicts, lighting the way for lost travelers or attempting to signal others in the darkness. Whispers are another frequent element of the Bridgia-esque hauntings. Pedestrians report hearing low murmurs along the riverbank, voices that seem to call out names or offer faint warnings. Drivers sometimes experience similar phenomena, hearing indistinct words or phrases through the hum of their engines. These whispers are often described as urgent and haunting, as though the spirits are reaching out from beyond the living world, attempting to communicate or relive their final moments. Many visitors leave the bridge with the impression that it carries the memories of its tragic past, and that the echoes of those events linger in the night air. First-hand encounters with the Lampasas River Bridge are numerous. One pedestrian recounted crossing on a misty evening, when he heard footsteps behind him that matched his pace. When he turned, he saw a shadowy figure leaning against a guardrail, watching the river. As he blinked, the figure vanished, leaving only the echo of the footsteps and the soft gurgle of the water below. A local driver described seeing faint glowing lanterns bobbing beneath the bridge, while the wind carried faint whispers along the roadway. When he slowed to observe, the lights disappeared, leaving him with an overwhelming sense of unease. Paranormal investigators visiting the Lampasas River Bridge have documented multiple anomalies. Audio recordings frequently capture faint whispers and echoing footsteps, while thermal imaging reveals cold spots moving along the walkway and riverbanks. Video equipment occasionally picks up fleeting shapes or glowing lanterns that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the bridge as a site saturated with residual energy, a location where the tragedies of the past continue to interact with the present, creating an unnerving experience for anyone who dares to cross at night. Despite its dark reputation, the Lampasas River Bridge remains a functional crossing, used by commuters, travelers, and curious explorers alike. Many visitors report that their experiences leave a lasting impression. The footsteps, shadowy figures, whispers, and ghostly lanterns create a lingering sense of unease. Locals caution nighttime travelers, suggesting respect for the Bridgia-esque haunted history. Many believe that the spirits remain not to harm, but to ensure that the memory of the past is not forgotten, a reminder of the lives lost along the Lampasas River so long ago. Today, the Lampasas River Bridge stands as both a practical structure and a haunted landmark. By day, it carries vehicles safely across the river, blending into the surrounding countryside. By night, It becomes a place where shadowy figures linger, footsteps echo, whispers drift along the riverbanks, and ghostly lanterns float beneath the planks. For those who cross after dark, the bridge offers an unsettling glimpse into the past, a reminder that some spirits remain bound to places where their lives ended, forever tethered to the Lampasas River Bridge. The Lavaca River Bridge, spanning the winding waters of the Lavaca River in the Texas coastal bend, has long been a source of both practical passage and eerie legend. By day, it is an unassuming structure, with steel supports and concrete planks carrying cars, trucks, and pedestrians across the river. By night, however, the bridge transforms into a place of mystery, where stories of ghostly sailors and restless spirits circulate among locals and travelers. Over decades, witnesses have reported phantom figures walking along the guardrails, strange lights shimmering beneath the bridge, and voices carried by the wind that seem to call from nowhere. Some even claim to have seen objects move of their own accord while crossing, creating an unsettling and unforgettable experience. The Lavaca River, while calm on most days, can swell rapidly during storms, creating treacherous conditions for travelers and sailors alike. Before modern safety measures were in place, many people lost their lives here. Fishermen, boaters, and travelers caught unaware by the Rivera's strong currents or sudden flooding. The bridge, constructed as a vital crossing for local communities, became linked to these tragedies, and over time, stories emerged that the spirits of those lost had not moved on. Phantom figures are among the most frequently reported hauntings on the Lavaca River Bridge. Witnesses often describe dark, human-like shapes walking along the guardrails, pacing the bridge as if retracing the steps of their final moments. Pedestrians crossing at night sometimes feel the sensation of being watched, as if the figures are aware of their presence. Drivers have reported seeing these apparitions in their headlights, only for them to vanish the instant they approach. The figures are often described as translucent, almost ghostly, with an air of sorrow or determination, suggesting that they are bound to bridge by unfinished business. Mysterious lights beneath the bridge further add to its eerie reputation. Witnesses report glowing orbs or lantern-like lights hovering above the water, drifting along the Rivera's surface, or flickering in patterns that seem intentional. Some claim the lights move in sync with vehicles or pedestrians, disappearing if anyone tries to approach or touch them. Locals believe that these lights are manifestations of the spirits of sailors and travelers lost in river accidents, a visible echo of lives claimed by the currents below. Paranormal enthusiasts who have investigated the bridge note that the lights are most active on foggy or stormy nights, when the river itself seems alive with residual energy. Voices carried on the wind are another common phenomenon. Pedestrians crossing the bridge at night have reported faint cries, whispers, or even unintelligible sentences drifting through the air. These sounds often appear without any logical source and are sometimes accompanied by sudden chills or goosebumps. Drivers recount hearing soft voices through closed windows, giving the sensation that someone is reaching out from the darkness to communicate or warn them. Many believe these auditory experiences are the echoes of the Rivera's tragedies, replaying events that occurred decades ago for anyone who will listen. Some witnesses have also experienced objects moving on their own while crossing the bridge. Doors, mirrors, or even small items in vehicles are said to shift or fall unexpectedly, as if nudged by unseen hands. Pedestrians have reported feeling brushes against their arms or shoulders without any visible cause. These incidents reinforce a perception that the bridge is a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, and that the spirits lingering there retain a physical presence capable of interacting with the environment. Accounts of the Bridge's hauntings are numerous and often chilling. One driver reported crossing on a foggy night when his headlights briefly illuminated a figure pacing along the guardrail, only for it to vanish into thin air moments later. At the same time, he heard faint whispers calling his name, and felt a sudden cold gust brush past his shoulder. Another pedestrian described seeing glowing lanterns under the bridge, while walking alone, accompanied by the sound of footsteps echoing along the planks. Even though no one else was present, these experiences left both witnesses with a lingering sense of unease. and an unshakable awareness of the Bridge's haunted reputation. Paranormal investigators who have visited the Lavaca River Bridge have documented a variety of anomalies. Audio recordings often capture whispers, distant cries, or the subtle echo of footsteps. Thermal cameras reveal sudden cold spots along the walkway and riverbanks. Video footage occasionally records faint, shadowy figures or flickering lights that disappear upon approach. Investigators describe the bridge as a location saturated with residual energy, a site where past tragedies continue to exert a tangible influence on the present. Despite its ominous reputation, the Lavaca River Bridge remains an essential crossing in the Texas coastal bend. Commuters, travelers, and paranormal enthusiasts traverse its span daily, often unaware of the stories that linger with each step. Those who experience the hauntings rarely forget the phantom figures. Glowing lights, mysterious whispers, and objects moving on their own leave lasting impressions. Many locals believe the spirits remain not to harm, but to remind travelers of the dangers of the river and the lives claimed there, ensuring the memory of those lost endures. Today, the Lavaca River Bridge stands as both a practical roadway and a site of supernatural legend. By day, it carries vehicles and pedestrians safely across the river, blending seamlessly into the surrounding landscape. By night, however, it becomes a stage for restless spirits. Shadowy figures pacing the guardrails, lantern-like lights drifting above the water, whispers echoing on the wind, and objects moving mysteriously. For those who cross after dark, the bridge offers a chilling reminder that some souls remain tethered to the places where their lives ended, eternally haunting the Lavaca River Bridge. The Guadalupe River Bridge in central Texas spans the winding waters of the Guadalupe River, connecting stretches of rural roads and small communities. By day, it is a simple, functional bridge, carrying vehicles, cyclists, and pedestrians safely across the river. But after sunset, it becomes a place steeped in eerie stories and chilling encounters. For decades, locals and travelers have reported shadowy figures appear along the guardrails, sudden chills that seem to seep into the bones, and ghostly whispers warning of unseen dangers. Some claim to have witnessed apparitions leaping into the river, vanishing without a trace, while others feel an invisible presence lingering beside them as they cross. The history of the Guadalupe River Bridge is intertwined with tragedy. Long before modern safety standards, travelers and locals crossing the river were vulnerable to swift currents, hidden rocks, and treacherous conditions during floods or storms. Accidents were frequent. Vehicles veered off the narrow lanes, pedestrians slipped from the edges, and countless people were swept into the river. Over time, the bridge became associated with misfortune and sorrow. Residents began reporting strange occurrences, unexplained chills, fleeting shadows, and whispers in the night. These reports grew into legends, with stories passed from generation to generation, creating the Bridge's chilling reputation. Shadowy figures are among the most frequently reported phenomena. Pedestrians crossing the bridge at night often describe dark, human-like shapes pacing along the walkway or clinging to the guardrails. Some figures appear to stare silently into the water, as if frozen in the moments before a fatal fall. Drivers have reported seeing these apparitions illuminated briefly by their headlights, only for them to vanish the instant they approach. Witnesses describe these figures as translucent, ghostly, and heavy with sorrow, as though they are bound to the bridge by unresolved tragedies. Many believe these are the spirits of individuals who lost their lives in accidents or drownings along the river over the decades. Sudden chills are another hallmark of the bridge's hauntings. Even on warm nights, pedestrians often report feeling inexplicable drops in temperature as they cross. These cold spots sometimes coincide with other phenomena, such as shadowy figures appearing or faint whispers brushing against the ears. Drivers have described feeling sudden cold drafts sweep through their vehicles, leaving a shiver in the spine and an unsettling sense that the air itself is charged with energy. These physical sensations reinforce the idea that the bridge is a place where the living and the dead intersect, a threshold where past tragedies leave tangible marks. Ghostly whispers add an unsettling auditory dimension to the Bridge's reputation. Visitors frequently report hearing soft voices carried by the wind, warning of danger or calling out names. Some describe the whispers as urgent, almost pleading, while others hear fragmented sentences or incomprehensible murmurs. Pedestrians and drivers alike have said that the voices seem to emanate from nowhere, sometimes surrounding them entirely and fading when they attempt to pinpoint the source. These whispers are often interpreted as warnings from the spirits, perhaps cautioning travelers to remain careful, as they themselves once failed to do. Perhaps the most terrifying reports involve apparitions leaping into the river. Witnesses describe seeing shadowy figures suddenly jump from the bridge into the water below. Some speculate that these are reenactments of past drownings, spirits eternally reliving their final, tragic moments. Pedestrians often recount the sensation of being watched during these sightings, a heavy presence pressing near them as though the spirits are both observing and reaching out to the living. Drivers report brief glimpses of figures in their headlights before the shadows disappear, leaving behind only the dark river and a lingering sense of unease. First-hand encounters with the Guadalupe River Bridge are frequent. One pedestrian described walking across on a foggy night when she heard faint whispers calling her name. She felt a sudden chill along her spine, and when she glanced over the guardrail, she saw a shadowy figure disappear into the river below. Another driver reported seeing two dark figures pacing along the bridge, illuminated briefly in the headlights. As he slowed to observe, the figures vanished, leaving him with a lingering sense of dread, and the impression that the bridge itself was alive with memories of past tragedies. Paranormal investigators have visited the bridge to document these occurrences. Audio equipment captures whispers, faint cries, and echoing footsteps, while thermal cameras reveal sudden cold spots along the walkway and guardrails. Video footage sometimes records shadowy shapes moving across the bridge that vanish upon approach. Investigators describe the site as saturated with residual energy, a place where tragedies of the past continue to interact with the present, leaving a palpable mark on anyone who crosses after dark. Despite its haunted reputation, the Guadalupe River Bridge remains a vital crossing in central Texas. Commuters, travelers, and paranormal enthusiasts continue to traverse its span daily, often unaware of the dark history lingering beneath their feet. Those who experience the hauntings rarely forget them. Shadowy figures, ghostly whispers, sudden chills, and disappearing apparitions leave lasting impressions. Locals believe these spirits linger not to harm, but to warn the living, ensuring that the memory of the misfortunes and drownings that occurred here endures. Today, the Guadalupe River Bridge stands as both a functional structure and a landmark of local legend. By day, it carries vehicles and pedestrians safely across the river, blending into the surrounding landscape. By night, however, it becomes a place of shadowy figures, sudden chills, ghostly whispers, and apparitions vanishing into the water. For those who cross after dark, the bridge serves as a chilling reminder that some spirits remain tethered to places where their lives ended, eternally haunting. The Cibolo Creek Bridge in Bandera County, Texas, spans the serene waters of Cibolo Creek, connecting stretches of winding rural roads surrounded by dense trees and open fields. By day, it appears as a simple, functional bridge, a crossing point for locals, travelers, and adventurers exploring the hill country. By night, however, the bridge takes on an entirely different character, steeped in tales of ghostly encounters and unexplained phenomena. For decades, visitors have reported footsteps following them, ghostly apparitions appearing along the guardrails, and strange, ethereal lights dancing beneath the bridge. Some claim to feel invisible hands guiding or warning them as they cross. Many believe these spirits are the souls of travelers lost in accidents, forever tethered to the bridge where their lives ended. The history of the Cibolo Creek Bridge is intertwined with the stories of those who once traveled the rugged roads of Bandera County. Long before the area was developed, settlers, ranchers, and traders navigated the winding routes along Cibolo Creek, often encountering hazardous conditions. Floods, slick roadways, and sudden curves led to numerous accidents, claiming lives along the creek and at the bridge itself. Over time, the bridge earned a reputation as a place of misfortune, and local legends emerged, describing restless spirits that linger along its planks and guardrails. Residents and travelers alike report experiences that suggest the bridge holds memories of these tragedies, replaying them for those who dare to cross at night. Footsteps following travelers are among the most frequently reported occurrences. Pedestrians crossing the bridge at night often describe hearing the sound of boots or shoes pacing behind them, matching their movements or even quickening unexpectedly. Many recount turning to see who is there, only to find the bridge empty, the only sounds being the whisper of the creek below. Drivers have experienced similar phenomena, hearing rhythmic taps or thuds on the vehicle as though someone walks alongside them unseen. These phantom footsteps create a lingering sense of unease, as if the bridge itself is alive with the memory of those who perished there. Ghostly apparitions on the guardrails add a visual element to the haunting. Witnesses frequently describe human-shaped figures pacing the edges of the bridge, or leaning over, peering into the water below. Some apparitions appear momentarily in the headlights of passing vehicles before vanishing into thin air, leaving drivers shaken. Pedestrians often report a feeling of being watched, sensing a presence that mirrors their own movements. These figures are generally described as translucent, almost insubstantial, yet heavy with the weight of sadness or unfinished business, believed to be the spirits of travelers who met untimely ends on or near the bridge. Strange lights beneath the bridge are another common phenomenon. Witnesses report glowing orbs or flickering lights hovering above the creek, moving with a life of their own. Sometimes these lights appear to follow vehicles or pedestrians, while other times they drift along the Rivera's surface before disappearing into the darkness. Paranormal enthusiasts suggest that these lights are manifestations of residual energy, the lingering presence of those who lost their lives in accidents. Locals describe the lights as mesmerizing but unsettling, a sign that the spirits remain close to the waters that claimed them. Some visitors report physical sensations that defy explanation. Pedestrians describe feeling invisible hands brushing their shoulders or guiding them along the walkway, sometimes as a gentle nudge of warning, and other times as a cold, unsettling touch. Drivers recount sudden chills that pass through their vehicles, accompanied by the impression of an unseen presence near them. First-hand accounts of encounters on the Cibolo Creek Bridge are numerous. One pedestrian recounted walking across on a foggy night when he heard footsteps mirroring his own pace. As he glanced toward the guardrail, a dark, translucent figure appeared momentarily, before vanishing into the night. Another driver described seeing glowing orbs beneath the bridge, while hearing faint whispers through the wind. When he slowed to investigate, the lights disappeared, leaving him with a lingering sense of unease, and the impression that the bridge was alive with unseen presence. Paranormal investigators visiting the bridge have documented a variety of anomalies. Audio equipment captures faint whispers, distant cries, and the echo of footsteps that cannot be explained. Thermal imaging often reveals sudden cold spots along the planks and riverbanks. Video footage occasionally records shadowy shapes or flickering lights that vanish when approached. Investigators describe the site as rich with residual energy, a place where the tragedies of the past continue to influence the present, creating an intense and unsettling atmosphere for anyone crossing after dark. Despite its haunted reputation, the Cibolo Creek Bridge remains a functional crossing in Bandera County. Commuters, travelers, and paranormal enthusiasts continue to traverse it daily, often unaware of the chilling history lingering with each step. Those who experience the hauntings rarely forget them. Footsteps following, ghostly apparitions, glowing lights, and invisible hands leave a lasting impression, reinforcing the idea that the bridge holds the memories of lives lost. Many locals believe the spirits linger not to harm, but to remind travelers of the dangers of the creek and the tragedies that occurred there, ensuring that the stories of the lost endure. Today, the Cibolo Creek Bridge stands as both a practical roadway and a landmark of supernatural lore. By day, it carries vehicles and pedestrians safely across the creek, blending seamlessly into the surrounding landscape. By night, it becomes a place of shadowy figures, phantom footsteps, glowing lights, and invisible hands. For those who cross after dark, the bridge offers a chilling reminder that some souls remain tethered to places where their lives ended, eternally haunting the Cibolo Creek Bridge. And there you have it, brave wanderers, 25 haunted bridges in Texas where shadows wait beneath. Footsteps echo in empty corridors of steel. And the dead linger, never leaving the waters below. Next time you cross a bridge at night, listen carefully. That sudden chill, the faint sound of footsteps, or a shadow that does not belong to you. It may not be your imagination. It may be a spirit, eternally waiting beneath, watching your every move. Thank you for walking these haunted paths